We all know that kindness can change a moment, a day, even a life. Yet we often forget it when we're stressed, overwhelmed, or facing someone who seems impossible to understand. But what if kindness could guide us the same way a lantern lights a dark path? What if even the smallest gentle act could calm storms inside us? Tonight, we explore that idea in Come and Learn, as the Dalai Lama illuminates the way of kindness, Buddhist sleep story. In today's video, we'll talk about how simple kindness can transform your heart and your world. So let's not waste any time, and let's begin. The night is quiet now, settling fully around you after the gentle invitation that began this journey. The world feels softer, as if every sound has been wrapped in a warm blanket of stillness. Ahead, the Dalai Lama lifts the small lantern he carries, its golden glow casting a soft circle of light on the narrow mountain trail. The flame flickers, but never falters, steady and calm, like a heartbeat that knows exactly how to stay in rhythm, no matter how dark the surroundings may seem. You walk beside him, noticing how the air carries a faint scent of pine and cool stone. Each step feels careful, unhurried, as if time has loosened its grip, just enough to let you breathe without pressure. The lantern swings lightly in his hand, and its glow spills gently across the path, revealing the uneven earth, the scattered pebbles, and the delicate curve of the trail ahead. Yet even with the shadows stretching far beyond the reach of the light, you do not feel lost. You do not feel alone. The Dalai Lama looks over with a soft smile, the kind that feels like reassurance without a single word. Awareness, he says gently, is like this lantern. It does not remove the night, but it gives you enough light to see your next step. His voice is calm, unhurried, as if each word is allowed to settle in the space between you before the next one arrives. You realize then that the lantern isn't simply guiding your feet. It is guiding your mind, too. You focus on your breathing as the mountain air brushes your skin. Inhale slowly. The coolness of the night fills your chest. Exhale gently. Tension softens and drifts away like mist dissolving in the wind. The Dalai Lama encourages you to keep your breath slow, steady, natural. This, he says quietly, is kindness to yourself. Before you try to understand the world, you must first understand the rhythm of your own heart. As you continue walking, stones crunch beneath your feet, each sound grounding you deeper into the present moment. The lantern's warm glow brightens your path just enough for you to move forward with confidence. It reminds you that clarity doesn't always arrive in great bursts of brilliance. Often, it arrives in small glimmers, tiny points of understanding that help you through the quiet darkness of your thoughts. The path curves to the left, hugging the edge of a cliff where the mountains open into a vast, dark horizon. Somewhere far below, a river murmurs softly, its sound rising through the still night air like a whispered lullaby. You pause to listen. The Dalai Lama does too, as if honoring the river's voice. Everything speaks when you are willing to listen, he murmurs. Even silence teaches you something. Even darkness has something to show. He lifts the lantern slightly higher, and its glow dances across the rock walls beside you. Shadows stretch and shrink like living things, but they do not frighten you. Instead, they remind you of all the parts of your life that remain unseen until you shine light upon them. Old worries, forgotten memories, quiet hopes tucked away inside your heart. Awareness, he reminds you, brings each of these gently into view, not to judge them, but to understand them. The mountain breeze grows a little stronger, brushing your hair and stirring the edges of your clothing. You feel its coolness, but the lantern's warmth balances it, creating a peaceful middle ground where comfort and clarity meet. As you walk, the Dalai Lama begins to speak again, his voice soft but clear. When you learn to notice the light within yourself, you begin to understand your own suffering. And when you understand your suffering, compassion awakens naturally. His words feel like the lantern's glow, gentle, steady, illuminating only what you're ready to see. Awareness, then compassion. It makes sense in a way that feels both ancient and personal. The trail widens slightly as you continue, leading toward a grove of tall cedar trees. Their trunks rise like silent guardians, and the lantern light casts long lines across their roots. The air here feels even calmer, as if nature itself is resting. You step beneath the branches, feeling sheltered, held by the quiet canopy above. The Dalai Lama's lantern glows warmly against the tree bark, showing you even the smallest details, the curves of the roots, the subtle shimmer of dew beginning to form on the needles. Walking deeper into the grove, you sense a subtle shift within you. Something softens, like a knot inside your chest, slowly unwinding. Awareness has opened a small door within your heart, and for the first time in a while, kindness flows through it without effort. You didn't force it. It simply arrived, the way gentle light arrives after the longest night. The Dalai Lama notices the peace settling over you. When you see your own heart clearly, he says, you become ready to see others clearly as well. His lantern glows a little brighter, illuminating a small clearing ahead where the trees begin to part. The sound of distant voices, soft and warm, drifts through the air like a breeze carrying stories. He gestures toward the clearing with a gentle nod, inviting you to follow as the path opens toward a place where kind voices and gentle hearts wait to welcome you next. The soft voices ahead gradually fade into a warm hush as you step into a quieter part of the mountain path. The clearing you entered moments before still lingers in your mind. The gentle greetings, the peaceful smiles. But the Dalai Lama leads you onward, deeper into the heart of the mountain silence. The lantern he carries glows softly, its light now steadier than before, as if sensing the shift from outer awareness to something more intimate, something waiting quietly within you. The air here is cooler, touched by the scent of stone and earth. The path narrows again, winding toward a low opening in the mountain wall. At first, it looks like nothing more than a shadow, a darker shape in the dimness. But as you step closer, the lantern's glow reveals the smooth outline of a cave, an ancient one, shaped by time and quiet patience. The Dalai Lama pauses before it, lifting the lantern so its warm light spills across the entrance. This, he says softly, is where kindness toward yourself begins. not outside, but here, in the quiet places within your own heart. His voice carries the gentle weight of truth, a truth you've perhaps known, but rarely stopped to honor. You step into the cave with him, and the world shifts. The air becomes still, untouched by wind. The darkness wraps you like a soft blanket, comforting rather than intimidating. Inside, the lantern's glow reflects off the stone walls, creating halos of light that dance slowly with each movement. The floor is cool beneath your feet, grounding you, inviting you to settle deeper into the present moment. Far within the cave, you notice a small alcove where smooth stones are arranged in a circle. Their surfaces gleam faintly, polished by countless hands that have sat, breathed, and reflected here long before you. The Dalai Lama guides you to sit on one of the stones, and when you do, the quiet deepens, becoming almost sacred. He sits across from you, placing the lantern between you both. The flame flickers gently, illuminating his calm expression. "You have carried many things," he says softly. "Expectations, responsibilities, worries that wore you down without you noticing. It is easy to show kindness to others when you feel light, but to offer it to yourself when you feel tired, lost, or burdened, that is the truest kindness of all." You inhale slowly, letting the cool stillness of the cave fill your lungs. As you exhale, you feel something inside loosen, as if a weight you've been holding begins to uncoil. The Dalai Lama nods, noticing your breath. Kindness toward yourself starts here, with a single breath that you allow to be gentle. He encourages you to close your eyes for a moment. When you do, the darkness behind your eyelids is warm and comforting. You listen to the faint sound of your breathing echoing in the cave, steady and calm. After a few quiet breaths, he speaks again. "Think of the way you speak to yourself when you make mistakes," he says. "Think of the harsh words you whisper inside your own mind during moments of doubt. Would you speak that way to someone you love? To a friend who is hurting?" His question lingers in the air like a soft bell chime. You realize how often your inner voice has been sharpening itself without you noticing. How often you've pushed yourself, criticized yourself, expected more from yourself, even on days when your strength was already thin. The Dalai Lama tilts his head kindly. "If you believe in kindness, then let it begin here. Speak to yourself as you would speak to a child learning how to walk. Be gentle, be patient, celebrate each small step." As you open your eyes again, you notice the cave glowing slightly brighter. The lantern has not changed, but your vision has softened. You see the space with greater clarity now, its smooth walls, its quiet corners, its peaceful stillness. It is a reflection of the place inside you that longs for compassion, for rest, for understanding. A faint sound travels through the cave, a single, distant chime, then another. Soft temple bells from somewhere deeper within the mountain, their tones floating gently through the stone corridors. Each ring feels like a reminder, a gentle tap on the heart. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. The Dalai Lama smiles. The bells are here to remind us that kindness is not a luxury, it is nourishment. just as we feed the body, we must feed the heart. Without kindness toward yourself, compassion for others becomes incomplete. You sit quietly for a while, listening to the bells. With each soft chime, you feel layers of tension slip away. The stone beneath you supports you like an old friend. The darkness around you feels safe, as if it has been waiting for you to rest here. When you finally rise, the Dalai Lama lifts the lantern again. Its glow stretches toward the cave entrance, guiding your way. Now that your heart has remembered its softness, he says, it is ready to understand how kindness flows outward, from the self to the world. With one last look at the peaceful cave behind you, you follow him toward the soft voices waiting somewhere ahead. As you step out of the quiet cave, the night air feels warmer, as though kindness itself has begun to radiate from within you. The Dalai Lama lifts the lantern once more, and its gentle glow guides your steps along a widening trail. The mountains seem less imposing now, their shadows softer, their silence friendlier. You feel lighter, as though the weight you carried into the cave has transformed into something more spacious, something that allows you to breathe with ease. The path curves toward a gentle slope, and as you walk, a faint glow becomes visible in the distance. It flickers softly, like stars resting close to the earth. The Dalai Lama nods toward it, offering a quiet smile. There is a place ahead, he says, where people live with voices as soft as the wind through leaves. They understand that kindness is not only in the heart, but also in the way we speak. With each step, the glow grows brighter, revealing small lanterns lining a stone pathway. Their lights shimmer like golden petals, guiding you forward until the village finally reveals itself. Peaceful, warm, almost dreamlike. Modest wooden homes stand in gentle clusters, their windows glowing softly in the night. A gentle breeze carries the scent of warm tea and wood smoke, mingled with something sweeter, like jasmine blooming unseen. As you enter the village, you notice how everything seems to move at the pace of a slow heartbeat. A few villagers sit together beneath a large Bodhi tree, speaking in voices so quiet and kind that even the air seems to lean closer to listen. Their words flow like calm water, smooth and unhurried. There is no sharpness, no rush, only warmth. The Dalai Lama pauses beneath the glowing branches of the Bodhi tree and gestures for you to observe. Listen, he says softly. Do you hear their speech? It is full of compassion, not because their lives are easier than anyone else's, but because they have learned to care deeply with their words. You let your attention settle on the gentle murmur of their conversations. Though you cannot make out the exact phrases, you feel the softness behind their tones, a softness that seems to soothe even your tired thoughts. Two neighbors speak while sharing a small bowl of rice. A mother comforts her child with quiet patience. An elderly man greets a passerby with a warm whisper that feels like a blessing. Speech, the Dalai Lama continues, is one of the most powerful acts of kindness we can offer. A gentle word can calm a restless heart. A patient tone can lift someone from sorrow. Even silence, when held with compassion, can ease another's suffering. You feel his words resonate within you, stirring memories of harsh voices you've heard and spoken. Moments when frustration sharpened your tone. Days when tenderness felt out of reach. But here, in this village of soft voices, you feel something unspoken. The possibility of speaking differently, of offering your words as gifts rather than weapons. A young villager approaches with a tray of warm tea, bowing slightly before offering it to you. His smile is quiet and sincere. When he speaks, his voice is gentle, like a soft brush against your heart. For warmth, he says, and for peace. You accept the cup, feeling the warmth spread through your fingers and into your chest. As you sip the tea, its sweetness settles on your tongue, grounding you in the present moment. The Dalai Lama watches you with kind eyes. When we speak gently to others, he says, we create a space where understanding can grow. This village understands that every word plants a seed, one that becomes either harmony or harm. The villagers begin lighting additional lanterns as the night deepens. Their glow illuminates the pathways, casting long, gentle shadows along the earth. A soft melody rises from a group, gathered near a small shrine, voices humming together, blending in harmony. You feel the sound wrap around you, calming your mind like a soothing embrace. Walking deeper into the village, you see people pausing to greet each other with slow, mindful bows. Children chase fireflies in peaceful laughter that never disturbs the quiet. Even the dogs nap contentedly, tails twitching in dreams, untouched by urgency or unrest. The Dalai Lama gestures toward a small wooden bench near a lotus pond. You sit beside him, watching the lantern reflections ripple on the water's surface. When kindness begins within you, he says, it naturally flows outward through your words. This village shows us how compassion can be carried in every tone, every phrase. The pond reflects the warm lantern light, and the water seems to glow as softly as the villager's speech. You watch a single lotus unfurl its petals under the night sky, opening slowly and without effort, just as your understanding begins to open. The Dalai Lama rises, taking the lantern in hand once more. Come, he says gently. Now that you have seen how kindness shapes the way we speak, you are ready to discover how listening, true, patient listening, can heal even the deepest suffering. You take a final look at the peaceful village behind you, carrying its softness with you as you walk toward the sound of a distant stream calling softly ahead. Leaving the peaceful village behind, you follow the Dalai Lama along a gentle trail bordered by whispering grasses. The lantern's glow still moves beside you, but the night has grown clearer, touched by a faint silver light that seems to gather on the horizon. The soft murmur of distant water reaches your ears, steady, rhythmic, inviting. Each step brings the sound closer, smoothing the leftover edges of thought until your mind feels as calm as the path beneath your feet. Soon, you arrive at a small clearing where a narrow stream winds through polished stones. Moonlight dances on its surface, creating ripples of soft light that drift and fold upon one another. The Dalai Lama kneels by the stream and gestures for you to join him. When you settle beside the water, the cool earth beneath you feels grounding, as though the mountain is offering its quiet strength for you to rest upon. the stream's voice is gentle, not loud or demanding, just a constant, soothing whisper. The Dalai Lama watches the water, his expression open and peaceful. Many people hear, he says softly, but few truly listen. Listening without judgment is one of the deepest acts of kindness we can give. You feel the truth of his words settle inside you like a small stone placed gently at the center of the heart. In daily life, conversation often becomes a race. Voices speaking over one another, minds preparing replies before the other person has finished. Here, beside the stream, that rushed rhythm feels foreign, almost impossible. The water encourages slowness, presence, space. Listening, he continues, requires us to empty ourselves for a moment, to create room for another's experience. Just as this stream flows without resistance, good listening allows thoughts and feelings to move freely, without interruption. You watch the stream ripple and flow around each stone, shaping itself naturally to whatever lies in its path. It doesn't push, it doesn't judge. It simply receives and continues. The Dalai Lama cups a bit of water in his hand and lets it slip through his fingers. When someone speaks to you from a place of pain or confusion, remember this stream. Let their words come. Let them settle. Let them pass through you, without holding on too tightly. The idea feels both simple and profound. You listen to the stream again, its steady rhythm, its patient flow. You can almost feel your mind adjusting to match its pace. Slower, softer, more open. The Dalai Lama closes his eyes for a moment, his breathing gentle. True listening dissolves the walls between us, he says. It is the moment when the heart says, I am here with you. I am not trying to change you. I simply want to understand. Those words resonate deeply, stirring memories of times when someone listened to you with presence so complete that you felt lighter afterward, as if understanding alone had unclenched something inside your chest. You also recall moments when you wished someone had listened, but they were distracted, rushed, or already certain of their own opinion. Judgment, the Dalai Lama says, opening his eyes again, is like a stone thrown into the water. It disrupts the surface, distorts the reflection. But when the water is calm, it mirrors the world clearly. He touches the stream again, and the ripples spread in widening rings before gently returning to stillness. You sit quietly beside him, letting the stream's voice fill the space between breaths. In the cool air, you begin to notice how much tension leaves the mind when you simply listen without trying to control the moment. The Dalai Lama seems to sense this shift. Notice how the water carries every sound, he says. Crickets, wind, footsteps, even the silence around us. Listening with the heart works the same way. It gathers everything without resisting any of it. A soft breeze moves through the clearing, bending the grasses in slow waves. The stream widens just ahead, gathering strength as it joins a broader flow. The water's song deepens, becoming fuller, richer, as though echoing the growing understanding inside you. Listening to others teaches compassion, the Dalai Lama says, but listening to yourself teaches wisdom. He places his hand lightly on his chest. Your heart speaks through your breath, your emotions, your quiet longings. When you listen deeply to yourself, you begin to understand your own suffering. And that understanding naturally opens your heart to the suffering of others. You breathe slowly, allowing these words to sink in. The stream's widening flow seems to reflect your expanding awareness. What began as a narrow trickle of sound now feels like a gentle river of clarity. Together you stand, and the Dalai Lama lifts the lantern once more. The warm glow blends with the silvery wash of moonlight, illuminating a path that follows the broadening water. "Come," he says, with a gentle smile. "There is a river ahead that carries more than water. It knows how to take your worries and place them far, far away. Let us walk toward it, and you will see how letting go becomes its own kind of kindness." The path continues to follow the widening flow of water, its gentle current growing more melodic with each step you take. The Dalai Lama walks beside you with the lantern held low, allowing the moon's silver glow to mingle with its warm golden light. The stream, now broader and more confident, leads you toward a distant sound, a soft, deep murmur that hints at something larger ahead. You can feel it before you see it, a quiet pull, like an invitation whispered across the night. As the trail opens, the river finally appears. Wide and slow-moving, it glimmers under the moonlight as though the sky itself has slipped into its surface. Mist curls above the water in delicate ribbons, and the stones along the riverbank shine like smooth pearls scattered in the sand. The sound of the river is steady and soothing, a gentle hush that quiets your thoughts the moment you listen. The Dalai Lama steps closer to the water's edge, motioning for you to join him. "This river," he says softly, "has carried the worries of many travelers. Not because the river is powerful, but because they were willing to release what weighed upon them." You kneel beside him, your fingers brushing the cool grass that lines the bank. The river flows at a patient pace, not rushed, not restless. Its surface rises and falls in soft waves, each one carrying the moon's reflection a little farther downstream. Watching it feels like watching your own thoughts unravel, drifting gently out of your mind and into the open night. The Dalai Lama reaches into the grass and gathers a few broad, sturdy leaves shaped like small boats. He hands one to you and holds one in his own palm. "Worry," he says, "is something we cling to because we believe it protects us. But in truth, it is like a stone tied to the heart. It pulls us down, even when the water around us is calm." He places his leaf on the surface of the river and watches it float, unhurried, carried by the current. "When we let go," he continues, "we make space inside ourselves for clarity, for peace, for compassion." You hold your leaf gently, feeling the smooth texture beneath your fingertips. The night breeze brushes against your cheek, as if nudging you to release whatever burden you've been carrying silently. Slowly, you begin to place your worries onto the leaf, not as words, but as feelings. The tension in your chest, the old uncertainties, the memories that still echo when the world grows quiet. When you're ready, you set the leaf onto the water. At first, it drifts only a little, caught in a small ripple. Then the current gathers it, lifting it forward, guiding it downstream with gentle certainty. You watch the leaf drift farther from shore until it becomes a small dot, then nothing at all, swallowed by the glowing path of moonlight across the water. Something inside you loosens. The weight you'd been carrying doesn't disappear all at once, but it feels lighter, as if the river has taken some of its heaviness with it. The Dalai Lama sees this softness in your expression. Letting go, he says gently, is not about forgetting. It is about allowing yourself to breathe again. When you hold too tightly, you suffer. When you loosen your grip, understanding begins. The river continues its slow journey, each wave a reminder of constant movement. You notice how it carries everything effortlessly: twigs, leaves, reflections, even silence. Nothing is rejected, nothing is held, everything is allowed to pass. You sit quietly for a while, letting the river's rhythm align with your breathing. Inhale, the cool night air fills your lungs. Exhale, the tension releases, following the path of your leaf. The Dalai Lama kneels beside you, also gazing at the water. His presence feels like another lantern, steady, warm, unwavering. Life, he says, is full of things we cannot control, but we can choose how tightly we hold them. We can choose when to let the river help us. The water shimmers as a soft gust of wind brushes across it, spreading ripples that catch the lantern's warm glow. The river seems to brighten, as though acknowledging your release. In this moment, it feels alive, like a gentle companion helping you carry what once felt unmanageable. After some time, the Dalai Lama stands and lifts the lantern. Its golden glow reflects off the water, forming a path of light that stretches toward the far bank. The river, he says softly, does not end here. It continues toward a forest where the trees breathe with calmness. Their stillness will help you understand how peace grows when the heart is open. You take one last look at the slow-moving water, grateful for its quiet generosity. Then you rise, following the Dalai Lama as he leads you toward the sacred forest, waiting just beyond the river's gentle murmur, where the night deepens into an even deeper kind of calm. Leaving the river's gentle murmur behind, you follow the Dalai Lama along a narrow trail that rises softly into the darkness. The air grows warmer as you walk, infused with the scent of damp earth and distant blossoms. You can still feel the river's calmness inside you, as though some part of it continues to flow gently through your chest with every breath you take. That feeling guides your steps as the path curves upward toward a shadowed ridge where the first outlines of tall trees appear. At first, the forest seems like any other: dark trunks standing quietly beneath moonlight, branches held still against the night sky. But as you draw nearer, you sense something unusual, something deeply alive. The trees are not motionless. Their branches rise and fall with a subtle rhythm, as though the entire forest is breathing. Leaves lift, then gently settle. The air pulsing between the trunks moves with a quiet swell, like the soft expansion of lungs. The Dalai Lama pauses at the forest's edge and breathes deeply. Here, he says softly, the trees live in the rhythm of compassion. They teach us how to breathe in a way that brings peace to the heart. You take your first step beneath the canopy, and the world changes instantly. The temperature shifts warm and cool at once, like entering a living sanctuary. Moonlight filters through the leaves in silver strands, dancing as the branches move with their slow, steady breaths. It feels as though you've stepped into a great being, ancient, patient, loving. The Dalai Lama lifts the lantern just enough for its warm glow to mingle with the moving shadows. He encourages you to listen closely, not to the sound of words, but to the sound of breath itself. At first, you hear only the faint whisper of leaves, but then, gradually, you notice something deeper, a quiet expansion, a gentle release. The entire forest breathes in, and then breathes out, in perfect harmony. Let your breath follow, he says. Not forced, not controlled, simply guided by what is already around you. You inhale slowly, matching the rise of the branches overhead. For a moment, your lungs feel larger, as if the forest is lending its capacity to you. When you exhale, your body softens, mirroring the gentle descent of the leaves. Each breath becomes easier, more natural, as though you've joined a rhythm you were meant to remember. As you walk deeper into the forest, the trees grow taller, their trunks glowing faintly in the lantern's light. Their bark seems to shimmer, patterned with soft greens and golds, like ancient symbols breathing with the earth's heartbeat. The ground beneath you is cushioned with moss, so soft it silences every footstep. Even the night animals seem to move gently here, as though unwilling to disturb the forest's sacred calm. Breathing, the Dalai Lama says quietly, is the bridge between the mind and the body. When the breath is calm, the mind becomes still. When the mind becomes still, the heart becomes clear. You breathe again, deeper this time. The air tastes fresh, filled with subtle sweetness from the leaves overhead. For the first time in a long while, your lungs feel completely open, as though nothing is blocking their flow. Your thoughts slow to a peaceful drift, matching the forest's undulating rhythm. The trees around you sway ever so slightly, not from wind, but from their own internal motion. With each rise, you feel an invisible lift inside yourself. With each gentle fall, your tension drains downward into the soft soil. The trees do not rush, he says. They do not force. They grow by moving in harmony with the world, not by resisting it. You look up through the branches, and the sky appears in small fragments, soft stars held between swaying leaves. For a moment, everything seems connected. Your breath, the forest's breath, the night sky breathing in its own vast way. The feeling is profound, yet gentle, washing over you like warm water. As you continue forward, the forest begins to brighten. Not with sunlight, but with a soft glow rising from the roots. It pulses faintly in time with the breath of the trees. The Dalai Lama walks ahead, guiding you toward a circular clearing where the canopy opens and moonlight spills across the ground like a silver pool. At the far end of the clearing stands something ancient, a wooden arch hung with delicate bells. They do not move at first, but their presence fills the clearing with a quiet anticipation, as though they are waiting for someone who knows how to listen. The forest draws one long, gentle breath. You inhale with it. Then the trees release a slow exhale and the bells respond, trembling softly, releasing a delicate chime that floats through the clearing like a whispered blessing. The sound moves through you so lightly that it feels as though your heart has been touched by a feather of light. The Dalai Lama smiles, his lantern illuminating the gentle curve of his expression. "The forest has prepared you well," he says. "Your breath is steady, your mind calm. Now, you are ready to hear what the bells wish to teach, how compassion echoes through the heart like sound through still air." As the bells chime again, even softer than before, you step toward the center of the clearing, ready to discover the message carried within their ancient, shimmering music. The bells shimmer softly in the still air, each chime drifting across the clearing like ripples on the surface of a calm lake. Their delicate sound seems to reach past your ears and settle directly into your chest, vibrating gently against the quiet rhythm of your breathing. You step closer beneath the wooden arch, feeling as though the bells are not ringing at you, but through you, touching something deep, something that has been waiting patiently to be heard. The Dalai Lama stands nearby, his lantern held low so its glow dances across the bells' smooth bronze surfaces. He watches them sway with the same serene expression he wore by the river, as though the wisdom carried in their sound is familiar to him, like an old friend arriving after a long journey. "These bells," he says softly, "ring not to announce anything to the world outside, but to awaken what sleeps inside the heart." Another chime drifts through the air, soft, warm, almost tender in tone. It carries a subtle trembling, like the fragile quiver of a leaf touched by a breeze. You feel it echo inside you, stirring memories of moments when your heart felt heavy with things unsaid, mistakes made, apologies never voiced. The sound seems to invite those unspoken feelings forward, not to judge them, but to release them. Forgiveness, the Dalai Lama continues, begins with the willingness to let go of the stones we have carried for far too long. Each bell here represents a moment when someone released a burden of guilt into the open air, trusting that compassion would catch it. You look at the bells again, noticing now that each one is slightly different in shape and tone. Some are small and clear, others deeper and resonant, as though carrying stories of many hearts. The breeze passes once more, and the bells respond with a soft chorus, an embrace of sound that feels like an invisible hand resting gently on your shoulder. You take a slow breath. The air tastes faintly of cedar and warm metal. As the chimes continue, they seem to invite you to acknowledge the weight you still carry, the regrets tucked deep in your memory, the times you wished you had spoken differently, the choices that still leave a quiet ache when remembered. The bells do not demand confession. They simply offer a place for release. The Dalai Lama speaks again, his voice blending seamlessly with the bell's gentle song. Guilt is not meant to imprison the heart. It is meant to guide us back to compassion. When you forgive yourself, you allow the heart to grow open again, like a lotus rising from muddy water into the clear air above. You let his words sink into you, and with them, a memory rises. One of those heavy stones you've carried without meaning to. You hold it gently in your mind, not with shame, but with kindness, as though comforting a younger version of yourself who didn't know what you know now. The next bell chime arrives at that very moment, and something inside loosens, as if the echo has lifted a corner of the burden from your chest. The Dalai Lama notices the shift in your breath. You see, he says, to forgive yourself is to remember that you too are learning. Mistakes are not evidence of failure. They are invitations to grow softer, wiser, and more patient with your own humanity. The bells ring a little louder as a breeze flows through the clearing, stirring the leaves overhead. Their combined song fills the space around you, blending with the forest's slow breathing. It feels like standing in the center of a warm heartbeat, surrounded by compassion that has no boundary. Gradually, the chimes grow quieter, their echoes stretching longer between each sound. The lantern's glow flickers, and you notice that its light is no longer the only illumination in the clearing. Small candles, placed in hollowed stones around the arch, begin to glow. Tiny flames that seem to awaken one by one, as though responding to the bells' fading music. The forest grows warm with their golden light, the shadows growing softer, more welcoming. The Dalai Lama walks toward one of the candles and gestures for you to follow. When the heart releases guilt, he says, it makes room for its true light to return. That light is always there, even when we forget it. It simply waits for forgiveness to uncover it again. You kneel beside a candle and watch the flame flicker gently, steady and humble. It reminds you of the lantern at the beginning of your journey, another symbol of inner illumination. The flame reflects in your eyes, and for a moment, you see yourself not as someone holding mistakes, but as someone capable of gentle transformation. The bells quiet completely now, leaving behind a soft hum in the air that feels like a lingering blessing. The candlelight fills the clearing, glowing like a warm heartbeat, spreading outward through the forest. You take a deep breath, feeling your chest expand with a new sense of ease, lighter, clearer, more open. The Dalai Lama lifts his lantern again, its warm halo blending with the candle's glow. Now that you have heard the bells, he says, you are ready for what comes next. The heart's light, once awakened, guides you toward compassion that burns steadily, even in the deepest night. He steps toward a narrow path illuminated by dozens of candle flames, each one glowing like a soft star resting on the forest floor. You rise to follow him, feeling the warmth inside you, growing brighter with every step. The candlelit path winds gently through the forest, each small flame flickering like a whisper of encouragement. You walk slowly, feeling the warmth deepen inside your chest with every step, as though the glow around you has found an echo within you. The Dalai Lama walks just ahead, his lantern casting soft halos of light that dance across the forest floor. The bells behind you fall into silence, their echoes lingering only as a memory of forgiveness settling gently into your heart. As you follow him deeper between the trees, the forest begins to shift once more. The tall trunks open into a quiet glade where the air feels warmer, almost as if the earth itself is breathing out a long, gentle sigh. In the center of this glade stands a single stone pedestal, worn smooth by time and illuminated by the soft glow of dozens of candles arranged around it. Their flames waver in unison, moving as though carried by the same breath that moves the leaves above. The Dalai Lama motions for you to step closer. Here, he says, we nurture the inner flame, something you already carry within you, though you may sometimes feel it has dimmed. He places his lantern upon the pedestal, its warm glow joining the gentle chorus of candlelight around you. You stand before the pedestal, feeling the quiet warmth on your face, your hands, your chest. The light seems to seep through your skin, reaching deeper, as if touching something long, dormant inside you. Compassion, he continues, is not something you must create. It is a flame that already lives within the heart. Your task is only to remember it and to feed it with gentleness. You close your eyes, letting the warmth settle deeper. At first, you feel only the rise and fall of your breath, but gradually, a soft glow begins to form in your chest, faint, like the memory of sunlight on a winter morning. It flickers gently, fragile yet persistent. The Dalai Lama speaks in a voice barely above a whisper. This flame begins with kindness toward yourself, but it grows each time you offer warmth to another being. A smile, a patient breath, a gentle word. The smallest acts keep the flame alive. With your eyes still closed, you focus on that glow. It steadies, strengthens, warms. You imagine it flickering with each inhale, brightening with each exhale. The forest feels quieter now, as though every leaf and branch is listening to your breath, encouraging the flame to grow. You may think compassion is something grand, he says, something found only through deep wisdom or great acts. But true compassion often begins in the smallest spaces, moments where you choose understanding over judgment, softness over reaction. His words settle into the glow within you, giving it shape, giving it breath. You open your eyes slowly. The pedestal before you seems brighter, the lantern's flame reflecting in your gaze. The candles surrounding you sway gently, their light brushing the edges of the glade like soft strokes of paint on a dark canvas. The forest seems to pulse with quiet warmth, as though recognizing the flame you've kindled inside yourself. The Dalai Lama takes a candle from the pedestal and holds it out toward you. Take this light, he says, not to carry in your hand, but to carry in your heart. Let this flame remind you that compassion is not a limited resource. The more you give, the more it grows. As you look at the candle, something inside you responds. A gentle expansion, as though your chest has softened just enough to welcome more light. You imagine placing the candle's flame gently into the glow within you, letting the two merge until they become one steady radiance. When your inner flame is strong, he says, it warms not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. People feel it. Even without words, they recognize the softness of your presence. His smile deepens. The glow of the lantern illuminating lines of kindness etched into his face. Compassion is contagious. It spreads like heat through cold air. A soft breeze sweeps through the glade, stirring the candles into gentle waves of light. You feel the warmth ripple through you as well, as though the flame in your chest reaches outward, touching the world with quiet intention. The Dalai Lama retrieves his lantern and turns toward a small opening at the far edge of the glade. Beyond it, you see the sky, beginning to brighten. not with the harshness of daybreak, but with the first tender hint of dawn. Soft colors brush the horizon, dusty rose, pale gold, and a shimmering whisper of orange. He gestures toward the growing light. When compassion fills your heart, it becomes like the sunrise, slow, warm, unstoppable. Let us walk now into that new light. You take one last look at the glade, its candle flames shimmering like a constellation at your feet. Then you follow him toward the gentle glow rising ahead. The dawn invites you forward, as though preparing to reveal how compassion, once awakened, continues to expand into something vast and luminous. The soft glow of dawn continues to brighten as you follow the Dalai Lama out of the forest glade, the candlelit warmth still pulsing gently within your chest. The air grows cooler as the trees thin and the trail begins to rise, leading you toward open space. Each step feels lighter than the last, as though the inner flame of compassion you kindled has become a quiet source of strength guiding you forward. Above the treetops, a faint blush of color begins to spill across the horizon, delicate as the first strokes of paint on a blank canvas. As you climb higher, the night fully loosens its hold. The darkness softens, its edges melting into shades of lavender and pale blue. The Dalai Lama lifts his lantern one last time, then extinguishes it with a gentle breath. "Now," he says warmly, "we let the natural light guide us." His gesture feels symbolic, the transition from inner flame to the vast illumination of a new day. You emerge from the forest onto a ledge overlooking a sprawling mountain range. The sight steals your breath for a moment. Snow-covered peaks stretch as far as the eye can see, rising like ancient guardians etched in white and silver. Their stillness carries a kind of majesty that words cannot fully hold. The sky above them glows with the softest shimmer, as though the sun is still deciding whether it is ready to rise. The Dalai Lama stands beside you, folding his hands loosely at his chest. "Each morning," he says quietly, "is a reminder that no matter how long the night has felt, light always returns. And with it comes the chance to begin again." His voice blends seamlessly with the gentle hush of the mountain winds, as if the peaks themselves are listening. You watch the horizon. At first, only a thin band of gold appears, trembling softly. Then, without hurry, the sun begins its ascent. Light spills over the peaks in slow, graceful waves, warm gold melting into soft rose, then blooming into bright, radiant white. The transformation feels almost sacred, as though the world is awakening not just visually but spiritually. The snow peaks glow brilliantly, each one catching the light differently, some shimmering with fierce radiance, others basking in gentle warmth. The Dalai Lama tilts his face toward the sky. "Hope," he says, "is like this sunrise. It begins quietly, gently, and yet it has the power to illuminate everything it touches. The warmth of the rising sun spreads across your skin. You feel it deepen the glow within your chest, merging the small flame you carry with the vast light unfolding around you. It's as if compassion itself is being reflected in the sky. Expansive, generous, unstoppable. Kindness," he continues, "is not something we save only for perfect days or perfect moods. Every morning gives us the chance to choose it again." Even if yesterday felt heavy, today offers a new beginning. You notice now the way the mountain shadows recede as the light grows stronger, slipping away from the valleys and ridges until everything stands in full clarity. The Dalai Lama traces the horizon with his gaze. In the same way, he says gently, the shadows of your worries, your fears, your mistakes, they retreat when you face them with the warmth of compassion. The clarity of morning feels like a soft cleansing. The air is crisp, cool, almost sweet. Somewhere below, a faint sound reaches your ears, a rhythmic tapping, like wooden blocks meeting stone. It echoes softly, blending with the low hum of distant chanting. The Dalai Lama smiles. There is a monastery just beyond this ridge, he says. The monks rise each morning before the sun to welcome the new day with gratitude. They know that the light of dawn is more than beauty. It is a teacher. You walk beside him as the path slopes gently downward, following the promise of that distant sound. As you descend, the full warmth of the morning settles over the mountains, bathing everything in golden light. The world feels refreshed, awakened, ready to begin anew. Ahead, nestled into the mountainside like a white pearl in a cradle of stone, the monastery appears. Its walls glow in the morning sun, and its courtyard opens wide like a peaceful embrace. You can see monks moving gracefully through the space, their saffron robes flowing like rivers of color beneath the sky. The Dalai Lama gestures toward the courtyard. They teach us the value of stillness, he says softly, and how silence, like sunlight, can warm the heart. As you step into the courtyard, the morning light pours over you, blending with the soft echoes of chanting. The air feels charged with serenity, as if the sunrise has followed you into this sacred space, shining not only on the snow peaks, but within the walls of the monastery itself. You feel ready for whatever lesson awaits next, as the warmth of the new day settles gently over your shoulders and into your heart. The monastery courtyard opens before you, like a calm pool of golden morning light. The soft echoes of chanting fade into a quiet so gentle it feels almost physical, as though silence itself has stepped forward to greet you. The monks move with unhurried grace, their saffron robes glowing warmly beneath the sunlit sky. Each footstep is deliberate, grounded, mindful, an expression of peace woven into motion. The Dalai Lama walks beside you, and together you enter the heart of the courtyard, where stillness gathers like a blessing, waiting to be received. You pause at the center, noticing how the air feels different here. Thicker with presence, thinner with distraction. There is no urgency, no rush. Even the birds perched on the monastery walls seem to chirp more softly, as if honoring the quiet that lives in this sacred space. A group of monks sits in a circle near a small stone fountain, their eyes gently lowered, their breathing deep and even. The sound of the fountain's trickling water blends seamlessly with the silence, creating a rhythm that slows your thoughts without effort. The Dalai Lama places his hands together, offering a slight bow toward the monks. "Here," he whispers, "silence is not emptiness. It is nourishment. It feeds the mind the way rain feeds the soil." His words drift lightly on the morning air, settling into your awareness like dew on a leaf. You lower yourself onto one of the smooth stone benches surrounding the courtyard. The stone is cool beneath you, grounding your body in the stillness spreading outward from the monk's circle. The Dalai Lama sits nearby, folding his robes with gentle care. His presence remains quiet, as though he too is participating in the silent prayers that fill the courtyard without a single spoken word. A breeze moves through the space, stirring the edge of a robe, brushing across your cheeks, carrying the faint fragrance of incense from somewhere deeper within the monastery. Everything seems to breathe in harmony. You close your eyes and let the silence wrap around you, a soft and steady embrace. With each slow inhale, you feel your mind broaden. With each exhale, tension slips away like dust carried off by wind. The Dalai Lama's voice eventually rises, soft as a feather drifting through the air. To sit in silence, he says, is to offer your mind kindness. Thoughts settle. Worries soften. The heart becomes clear enough to see the truth beneath all the noise. You let his words sink in, feeling their weightless truth. Often, silence can feel intimidating, like a vacuum where thoughts become louder. But here, in the courtyard, bathed in sunlight and prayer, silence feels like a gentle companion guiding you inward. You notice the small sounds you never hear when rushing. The faint scrape of fabric as a monk shifts slightly, the distant rustle of the wind moving through the prayer flags above, the soft drip of water from the fountain's edge. Each sound becomes a note in a calming symphony of stillness. Listen for what is not said, the Dalai Lama continues. It is in the quiet that you hear the heart's deepest needs. His eyes soften. When you give yourself silence, you give yourself permission to rest. You breathe deeply, feeling the truth of it settle inside you. The flame of compassion within your chest grows, steadier, its warmth mingling with the morning sun. The monk's stillness begins to move through you, as if their quiet devotion is contagious. Your mind no longer jumps from thought to thought. It floats, weightless, on the ease of this shared silence. After a long moment, a gong sounds gently in the distance, low, resonant, like a pebble dropped into a vast lake. The monks slowly open their eyes, not abruptly, but with the same softness they give to every movement. Their gazes meet yours with warmth so quiet it feels like a blessing. The Dalai Lama rises, and you follow, your steps slower now, more grounded. Silence teaches us to wait, he says, to be patient with ourselves, to trust the unfolding of life. His gaze moves toward the snow peaks visible beyond the courtyard. And patience, he adds, is a form of compassion, an understanding that everything grows at its own pace. You watch as the monks begin their daily tasks, sweeping the courtyard, carrying water, tending to small gardens near the walls. Each action is slow, mindful, infused with the same stillness that filled their meditation. Their patience is visible in every gesture, like a language spoken without words. The Dalai Lama gestures toward a path leading out of the courtyard, where small drifts of snow rest along the edges. Come, he says gently. The snow on the mountains has something to teach you too. A lesson in patience so deep, it can soften even the hardest parts of the heart. With one last look at the courtyard of silent prayers, its peace settling into your bones, you walk beside him toward the quiet white world waiting beyond the monastery walls. Beyond the monastery walls, the world opens to a quiet expanse of white. Snow blankets the ground in soft, unbroken sheets, stretching toward the horizon, where the mountains lift their pale peaks into the morning sky. The air is crisp, yet gentle, a coolness that rests lightly on your skin rather than biting. As you step forward with the Dalai Lama, the snow beneath your feet compresses with a hushed, satisfying sound, as though the earth is exhaling beneath each step. You pause for a moment, watching the sky. Snowflakes drift downward in slow spirals, each one moving as if guided by a rhythm too peaceful for hurry. They fall without urgency, without force. Some land delicately on your sleeve before melting into tiny drops of crystal clear water. Others join the countless flakes already resting on the earth, building the soft landscape, one patient whisper at a time. The Dalai Lama lifts his face to the sky, allowing a single snowflake to rest upon his brow. "Do you see how the snow falls?" he asks quietly. "It does not rush to reach the ground. It trusts the air to carry it, trusts time to place it exactly where it needs to be." His words settle into you like warm breath against the cold air. Trust, time, patience. You watch the snowflakes drifting all around, each one taking its own path downward, some swaying to the left, some drifting right, some falling almost straight. None of them seem concerned with how long the journey takes. None compete, none compare. They simply allow themselves to fall, gently, in perfect acceptance. The Dalai Lama kneels in the snow and invites you to do the same. The snow is soft beneath your knees, cold but surprisingly comforting. An invitation to slow down and feel the moment without trying to change it. Patience, he says, is not waiting for something to happen. It is the willingness to let things unfold in their own time. A soft breeze stirs the air, sending a fresh flurry of snowflakes into graceful motion. They glide around you, settling on your hair, your hands, your shoulders, reminding you of moments in your life when you've tried to rush what needed time. Healing, growth, understanding, closure. You feel the quiet truth in the air. Some things cannot be hurried. Some things must arrive like snow, slowly, gently, when the world is ready. The Dalai Lama scoops a small handful of snow into his palm. "Look closely," he says. You lean in, noticing the tiny crystals glistening in the morning light. They are intricate, delicate, impossibly unique. Each flake, he continues, forms in the cold darkness of the clouds. It begins as a drop of water, then transforms slowly into something beautiful. If the process is rushed, the crystal does not form. Even nature understands that beauty takes time. He lets the snow slip from his hand, watching it return gracefully to the ground. When you practice patience, you honor the natural pace of life. You stop forcing, you stop resisting. You begin to trust that your path, like every snowflake's path, has its own timing. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the cold air fill your lungs. With each breath, the world seems to quiet further. The snowflakes continue their descent, brushing your skin like tiny, fleeting blessings. The Dalai Lama's presence beside you feels steady, calming, a reminder that patience is not passive. It is powerful, deliberate, compassionate. He rises slowly, brushing the snow from his robes, and looks toward a narrow trail leading deeper into the white landscape. "Come," he says with gentle warmth, "let us walk among the falling snow and feel what patience truly means." You follow him along the snow-covered path. Each step is soft, sinking slightly before lifting again. The world becomes quieter with distance from the monastery. No voices, no chanting, no footsteps but your own. Only the snow speaks now, falling in its constant, peaceful rhythm. As you walk, the Dalai Lama continues. Some people believe patience is merely enduring difficulty, but true patience is an act of kindness toward yourself. It is saying, "I will not rush my heart. I will not demand answers before I am ready. I will breathe and trust and allow life to surprise me." His words drift through the cold air like gentle warmth. You think of moments when you've been hard on yourself for not healing fast enough, not learning quickly enough, not achieving what you expected in the time you imagined. Out here, among the falling snow, those pressures seem to dissolve. You begin to understand that growth, like winter itself, has a purpose. A quiet season when the world rests, prepares, and transforms. Ahead, the path lowers gently into a hollow where mist rises from a small stream. The snowflakes meet the warmer air and soften into gentle droplets that cling to the branches around you like tiny pearls. The mist curls and weaves through the trees, creating a dreamlike shimmer. The Dalai Lama pauses at the edge of the mist, his expression warm. When patience softens the heart, he says, humility follows. The world reveals that even the smallest things, snowflakes, droplets, moments of stillness, are part of our journey. He steps into the glowing mist, inviting you to walk beside him into the next lesson waiting softly ahead. The mist parts softly as you follow the Dalai Lama deeper into the snow-dusted hollow, each step carrying you toward the faint sound of moving water. The air grows warmer, touched by a gentle breath rising from the earth. Snowflakes melt the moment they drift into this sheltered space, settling onto moss-covered stones that glisten like emeralds beneath the pale morning light. Ahead, a narrow ribbon of water winds between the rocks, a spring, small and quiet, yet filled with a presence that feels older than the mountains themselves. The Dalai Lama kneels beside the spring, motioning for you to come closer. The water slips delicately over smooth stones, weaving through them with such ease that it almost appears to be dancing. Its movement is humble, neither forceful nor loud, but soft, persistent, and gentle. Its sound is a whisper, barely louder than the rustle of a leaf falling from a distant tree. This spring, the Dalai Lama says, dipping his fingers lightly into the water, teaches humility. It does not seek attention. It does not carve great valleys or roar with thunder. Yet through its quiet persistence, it brings life wherever it goes. You watch the spring flow. It doesn't push the stones aside, nor does it struggle against them. Instead, it finds its way between them, adapting, yielding, continuing. It understands, without instruction, that sometimes the strongest path is the softest one, and the most powerful movement is the one made with grace rather than force. The Dalai Lama lifts a little water in his palm. It shines like liquid crystal, reflecting the faint colors of dawn. Humility, he says, is knowing that you do not need to be grand to be meaningful. You do not need to be perfect to make a difference. Like this spring, you can flow quietly, offering kindness without announcing it. You sit on a mossy stone beside him, letting the warmth from the spring drift toward you. The air carries the scent of wet earth and budding leaves, fragile signs of life in a place still cradled by winter. Listening to the spring, you feel your breath begin to fall into rhythm with it. Slow, soft, steady. Think of how water behaves, he continues. It does not boast. It does not claim credit. It simply moves, helping, nourishing, cleansing, restoring. Humility is water in human form. It allows us to give without needing praise, to uplift without needing to be seen. The spring slips between two larger stones, creating a small cascade. The sound is sweeter here, a musical trickle that echoes in the hollow like a soft chime. You notice how the spring doesn't resist the shape of the land. It embraces it. Instead of demanding a straight path, it forms curves that follow the natural contours of the rocks, flowing exactly where it needs to go. You feel something shift in your chest, an understanding that humility is not weakness, but freedom. When you are humble, you are no longer imprisoned by expectations or the need for recognition. You simply flow, like this spring, guided by compassion and clarity. The Dalai Lama places a hand gently on a nearby stone, feeling the subtle vibration of water moving beneath it. Humility opens the heart, he says. When you bow to the moment instead of trying to control it, the world reveals more pathways than you ever imagined. Humility is the doorway to understanding. The spring gathers in a small pool a few steps ahead, widening into a clear pond. Its surface is still enough to reflect the sky above, yet soft ripples spread each time a drop enters from the flowing spring. You walk toward the pond with the Dalai Lama and peer into the mirror-like water. Your reflection appears there, calm, softened by the glow of morning, surrounded by the quiet embrace of nature. Humility also means seeing yourself as you truly are, he says gently. Not smaller, not greater, just honestly. When you look without judgment, you can grow without resistance. The pond reflects more than your face. It reflects the trees swaying overhead, the soft colors of dawn, the gentle ripple from the spring entering its surface. Everything merges into a single image. The world held in a bowl of water, still and shimmering. You sit beside the pond, letting its calmness move through you. The Dalai Lama lowers himself onto a stone across from you, his reflection shimmering beside yours. Humility prepares you for wisdom, he says. It teaches you to listen to life rather than demand answers from it. You imagine yourself as the spring for a moment, moving quietly, offering kindness without need for acknowledgement, flowing around obstacles instead of fighting them. The idea brings a soft peace to your mind, a sense of ease that settles into your breath like a warm echo. As the pond gently ripples, The reflections blur, then settle again. The Dalai Lama rises slowly, motioning toward a path of flat stones that lead around the pond's edge. Now, he says with warmth, that your heart has learned to flow gently, it is ready to see itself more clearly. You stand and follow him along the stone path, the pond reflecting your steps. Somewhere ahead, another quiet lesson waits. A lesson in seeing, accepting, and understanding the truth mirrored within still water. The path of flat stones curves gently around the edge of the spring-fed pond, leading you to a place where the water widens and settles into a near-perfect mirror. The Dalai Lama walks with unhurried steps, his robes brushing softly against the moss-covered ground. The air grows quieter as you approach, as though the world itself understands the importance of this moment. Even the soft rustle of leaves seems to fade, leaving only the faint sound of water slipping into the pond from the spring behind you. You come to a smooth stone at the pond's edge, and the Dalai Lama nods for you to sit. When you settle, the surface of the water stills almost instantly. It becomes so clear that the sky above appears deeper in the pond than it does overhead, blue stretching into infinity. Trees rise along the water's edge, their reflections perfectly aligned with their real forms. Branches touching sky and water at once, as if holding both worlds gently between them. Look, he says softly, gesturing to the surface. Still water reflects everything truthfully, without distortion, without judgment. When the heart becomes still, it can do the same. You lean forward slightly and see your reflection begin to take shape. At first, you notice yourself the way you always do. Features familiar, expressions you recognize. But the longer you stare, the more you notice details you normally overlook. The softness around your eyes, the quiet effort behind your posture, the lingering tiredness that hints at all the weight you've carried in silence. The Dalai Lama observes you kindly. Most people see themselves through the ripples of their own fears and expectations, he says. But when you allow the mind to become calm, truly calm, you can see the truth beneath the ripples. You continue looking, and something shifts in your perception. The reflection doesn't seem like an image to critique. It feels like a presence to understand. The face you're seeing is not wrong, not flawed, not in need of improvement. It is simply human. And for the first time, you feel a sense of tenderness toward that reflection, as though you are seeing yourself the way a loving friend might see you. A tiny breeze stirs the air, creating gentle rings across the pond's surface. Your reflection blurs, then reforms. Each shift reminds you how easily life's worries can distort your view of yourself. One difficult moment, one harsh word, one old memory rising unexpectedly. The Dalai Lama watches the ripples with peaceful eyes. Even when water is disturbed, he says, its nature remains unchanged. It always returns to stillness when the wind passes. The heart is the same. You feel the truth of that settle deep inside your chest. No matter what storms you've passed through, no matter what thoughts have disturbed your peace, your true nature, your kindness, your warmth, your capacity for compassion is still there, waiting beneath the surface. You close your eyes for a moment and breathe deeply. When you open them again, the water has stilled once more. Your reflection looks back at you gently, as though inviting you into a quiet acceptance. Not acceptance that ignores your struggles, but acceptance that embraces them, seeing them as part of your journey, part of what makes your presence in this world honest and real. The Dalai Lama kneels beside you, letting the long sleeves of his robe gather at his wrists. When you accept yourself as you are, he says, you create space for healing. Judgment clouds the water. Acceptance clears it. He extends his hand toward the pond, just barely touching its surface with the tip of one finger. A single ripple forms, expanding outward in perfect circles. You watch it grow, reaching farther and farther until it touches the shoreline. Every moment of clarity, he says, creates a ripple that shapes the way you move through the world. When you see yourself with compassion, you can offer others the same gift. The ripple fades and the pond becomes glass smooth again. Its stillness feels different now, less like silence and more like a warm breath resting over the world. You look once more at your reflection, and instead of seeing flaws or doubts, you see someone who is learning, growing, releasing, becoming. The Dalai Lama's smile widens, warmed by the gentle light that filters through the trees. When the heart becomes clear, he says, gratitude begins to rise naturally. It is the next step, and it flows as easily as water returning to its source. You stand with him, taking one last quiet look at the pond, a teacher of truth, stillness, and acceptance. The air is shifting again, carrying with it the faint fragrance of blooming flowers deeper in the forest. Their scent is soft, almost like the promise of something warm awakening within the cold. You follow him along the path as the first petals drift through the air, fluttering toward you like delicate offerings. They lead the way toward a grove where gratitude waits patiently, ready to open like blossoms beneath the morning sun. The soft fragrance of blossoms grows stronger as you walk, drifting through the gentle forest air like a quiet invitation. Each step carries you farther from the still pond and deeper into a grove where the trees grow closer together, forming an archway of branches spun with tender shades of pink and white. The Dalai Lama walks beside you in silence, his presence warm and steady, as though guiding you into a lesson that blooms as naturally as the flowers themselves. As you enter the grove fully, petals begin to fall from the branches above. They drift downward with the slow grace of snowflakes, swirling lazily on invisible currents before settling onto the ground. Their colors, soft rose, pale ivory, warm gold, scatter like 1,000 small blessings offered freely by the earth. The path becomes a carpet of delicate hues, and the air feels lighter, touched by something joyful and bright. The Dalai Lama pauses beneath one of the flowering trees and looks upward, watching the petals descend. Gratitude, he says softly, is like these falling petals. It comes quietly, unexpectedly, and covers the heart with beauty when we are open to seeing it. You stand beside him and lift your gaze. More petals fall, each one turning gently before reaching the earth. You reach out a hand, and one lands lightly in your palm, cool and soft. The moment feels fleeting, yet precious. Something so small, yet somehow powerful in its gentleness. People often search for grand reasons to be grateful. The Dalai Lama continues, walking slowly as petals drift into his robes. But the heart grows lighter when we learn to appreciate the small things. A single breath, a moment of peace, a smile, a lesson, even a challenge that teaches us something true. You think back to the places you've walked so far, the river, the cave, the forest of breathing trees, the monastery courtyard. Each space offered a gift, subtle but meaningful. Each step brought something to learn, something to soften, something to release. Gratitude begins to rise in you like warmth spreading through your chest, gentle but unmistakable. As you continue forward, the grove opens onto a wide field bathed in golden sunlight. The petals drift from the trees and spill into the field, carried by the wind. They move across the grass in shimmering waves, settling like soft accents of color on the earth's green canvas. The sunlight catches them, making them glow like tiny lanterns scattered across the land. The Dalai Lama steps into the field and gestures for you to follow. When you practice gratitude, he says, you begin to notice beauty everywhere, even in places where you once saw only emptiness, even in moments that once felt heavy. His voice is gentle, steady, the same tone he uses when offering wisdom that he knows needs time to bloom in the listener's heart. You walk beside him, watching the petals drift. A soft breeze carries more from the grove, creating a constant, quiet rain of colors. Each petal lands peacefully, without struggle, without noise. It feels as though the world is offering endless small reminders to appreciate, moments of tenderness tucked into even the simplest scenes. The Dalai Lama kneels to pick up a handful of petals that have gathered in a hollow of the earth. They rest in his palms like a tiny bouquet. These, he says, are like the moments we overlook. Small acts of kindness, simple pleasures, brief moments of connection. When we gather them, the heart fills quickly. He lets the petals flutter gently back to the ground. Gratitude does not erase pain, he says, but it gives the heart strength. It teaches us to balance sorrow with appreciation, struggle with hope. When we remember what is good, we do not drown in what is difficult. You feel those words settle deeply. Gratitude becomes not just a feeling, but a way of seeing, a way of allowing even the smallest lights to matter. As you stand in the golden field, the breeze grows a little stronger, sending petals swirling around you. They dance in spirals, brushing your shoulders and cheeks like affectionate touches from the world itself. You close your eyes, and gratitude rises again, this time clearer, fuller, shaped by the understanding that so much of life is composed of these small, beautiful offerings that appear when you are willing to slow down and notice. The Dalai Lama watches you with a warm smile. When the heart learns gratitude, he says, it becomes anchored in the present. It stops searching for what it lacks and begins to appreciate what it already has. He gestures toward the path ahead, where the field begins to narrow into a gentle trail of golden grass. And when gratitude settles in your steps, each movement becomes softer, more mindful, more connected. You follow him toward the narrowing trail. The golden field glows behind you, the blossoms still drifting in the sunlit air. As the trees thin and the gentle grasses sway around your legs, you feel gratitude moving through you like a quiet, steady current. Ahead, the path bends toward a landscape filled with tall, swaying grass, an open stretch where presence itself becomes the guide. The Dalai Lama pauses at its edge, his expression full of warmth. "Now," he says, "let us walk together through a place where each step invites you deeper into the present moment." And with the final few petals floating gently to the earth behind you, you step forward into the next lesson, waiting patiently in the golden light. The golden grasses rise around you as you walk, their slender blades swaying in slow, fluid waves that mimic the rhythm of your breath. Each step carries the softness of everything you've learned so far: awareness from the mountain path, compassion from the lantern's glow, patience from the falling snow, gratitude from the drifting petals. The field seems to welcome all of it, folding your journey into the gentle whisper of wind that moves through the tall grass like a whispered prayer. The Dalai Lama walks beside you, his pace unhurried, his presence calm and steady. He lifts his hand to brush lightly along the tops of the grasses, and they bend toward him as if recognizing something peaceful in his touch. "Presence," he says softly, "is one of the greatest acts of kindness you can offer to yourself and to the world." When you are fully here, even the smallest moment becomes sacred. You breathe in deeply, letting the scent of warm earth and fresh grass fill your lungs. The air carries the warmth of the sun, not harsh, but soothing, as though embracing you exactly as you are. You begin to notice details you might have overlooked in another moment: the soft rustling of grass blades brushing against one another, the way the shadows ripple across the field, the quiet hum of insects moving gently among the stems. As you continue, the path narrows slightly, guiding you through clusters of grass that rise almost to your shoulders. It feels like walking through a living river, your body a vessel moving through the flow of nature. The Dalai Lama's voice blends with the sound of grass shifting in the wind. To be present is to walk with the world, not ahead of it or behind it. It is to allow each breath, each step, to be enough. The idea settles deep inside you. For so long, life has been filled with constant motion, running from one thought to the next, one obligation to another. But here, in the golden field, time feels different. It stretches gently, spacious, and welcoming. Each step becomes its own moment, not a means to an end, but something complete in itself. You lift your hand as the Dalai Lama did, letting your fingers glide across the tops of the grasses. Their touch is light, barely noticeable, yet somehow grounding. You notice the texture, the warmth, the subtle vibration of wind moving through them. Your attention sharpens, not in tension, but in a soft, open way. The world feels more alive, and so do you. The Dalai Lama smiles as he watches you. When you give your full presence, suffering softens, worry loosens. You remember that this moment, right here, is the only place where peace can grow. His words drift like seeds carried by the breeze, settling gently in your mind. The path widens briefly, and you come upon a small rise in the landscape. From its crest, the field stretches endlessly in every direction, golden waves rolling toward the distant mountains. Birds circle lazily overhead, their calls echoing faintly. The Dalai Lama pauses beside you and gestures toward the horizon. Presence is not something we chase, he says. It is something we allow. Like the wind, it arrives when the heart is open. You close your eyes for a moment and feel the wind brush across your face. It brings with it the sensation of being deeply rooted, yet gently carried, held by the earth, moved by the air. When you open your eyes again, the world seems sharper in its softness, the colors richer, the light warmer, the grass more alive. As the two of you continue walking, the landscape begins to change. The tall grasses gradually give way to shorter, denser patches, and the earth beneath your feet becomes firmer. In the distance, you begin to see something rising above the field, stone, weathered and ancient. Its shape is curved, arching gently like a crescent moon touching the ground. The Dalai Lama's eyes brighten with recognition. An old bridge waits ahead, he says. Many travelers have crossed it on their way to deeper understanding. It teaches us how presence connects us to others, the way a bridge connects two sides of a river. As you approach, the bridge becomes clearer. It is made of smooth, time-worn stone, each block fitted carefully into place by hands long gone. Moss covers parts of it, soft and green, while wildflowers bloom along its edges. The bridge stands quietly over a slow-moving stream, its reflection shimmering in the clear water below. The Dalai Lama stops at the foot of the bridge and turns to you with a gentle expression. When you walk with presence, he says, you cross into a deeper connection with every living being. You begin to see the world not as something separate from you, but as something you belong to. The stream murmurs softly beneath the bridge, as if agreeing. You take your first step onto the stone arch, feeling the cool, smooth surface beneath your feet. The breeze flows beneath and around you, carrying echoes of the golden field behind and the promise of new understanding ahead. The Dalai Lama follows, his steps steady on the ancient stones. Together, you begin to cross the bridge, moving forward with the kind of gentle presence that turns every step into a quiet act of kindness. The smooth stones beneath your feet grow cooler as you continue across the arching bridge, each step echoing softly in the quiet air. The Dalai Lama walks beside you, his presence steady and warm, the gentle rhythm of his robes swaying with the wind. Beneath the bridge, the stream moves with a slow, thoughtful murmur, its clear water catching the sunlight and scattering it in shimmering fragments across the underside of the arch. You pause for a moment to look down, captivated by how the stream reflects both sky and stone, two worlds meeting in a single, fluid surface. Understanding, the Dalai Lama says softly, is much like this bridge. It brings together things that appear separate. It creates unity where there once seemed distance. His voice blends naturally with the water's whisper, as though both are teaching the same lesson in different languages. As you walk further, the wind picks up slightly, brushing your face with a cool, gentle touch. The field behind you rustles in soft waves, and for a moment you feel both the weight of where you've been and the lightness of where you're going. The bridge, ancient and worn, holds you effortlessly, much like understanding holds the connection between hearts that would otherwise drift apart. Halfway across, the Dalai Lama pauses and looks out toward the horizon. To understand another, he says, you must first release the need to be right. You must be willing to hear their story without comparing it to your own. This is the space where compassion grows. He gestures quietly toward the stream below. See how it flows between these banks? It does not take sides. It simply moves, offering nourishment to everything it touches. You follow his gaze and notice how the water bends around stones without resistance, how it slows in pools, how it slips gracefully beneath the bridge without hesitation. Its movement is gentle, yet unstoppable, a quiet demonstration of what it means to understand rather than judge. When you reach the peak of the arch, the view ahead opens like a slow unwinding of a scroll. On the far side of the bridge, nestled in a clearing just beyond the trees, a soft glow flickers in the distance. The light is warm, golden, and rhythmic, as though it's breathing with the night. The Dalai Lama's eyes soften. A gathering waits ahead, he says, a place where hearts meet in silence and warmth. Understanding often begins with simply sitting together. You continue to walk down the far side of the bridge, each stone worn smooth by the countless steps of travelers who crossed before you. As you step off the final stone and onto solid ground again, the world seems to shift subtly. The trees gather more closely here, their branches forming a natural archway that guides you toward the light up ahead. The air carries the faint scent of burning wood and something sweet, perhaps wild herbs or dried flowers laid upon the flames. The path winds gently through the trees until you arrive at a small clearing illuminated by a crackling campfire. The flames rise in soft orange waves, their light dancing across the faces of those seated around it. The group is diverse, different ages, different paths, different stories, yet they all sit in the same gentle circle, united by the warmth between them. Some have their eyes closed, some gaze into the flames, others smile softly at the shared stillness. The Dalai Lama leads you toward the circle and gestures for you to sit. As you lower yourself onto a cushion of soft moss, you feel the warmth of the fire gently wrap around your hands and face, soothing in its simplicity. No one speaks, yet the silence feels full, rich with presence, understanding, and the unspoken truth that each person here has carried their own struggles, hopes, and lessons to this moment. The Dalai Lama settles beside you. When we listen to the stories of others, he says softly, we widen the bridge within ourselves. We become spacious enough to hold more love, more compassion, more truth. He gazes at the fire, his eyes reflecting the soft light. Understanding is not agreement. It is the simple acknowledgement that every heart has its own journey. A log in the fire shifts, sending a graceful flame curling upward. Sparks rise like tiny stars, disappearing into the night. You watch them drift upward and feel something inside you expand. A gentle opening, as though new space has been carved within your chest for compassion to grow. Around the fire, the people continue to sit in peaceful companionship. Some share tea poured from a small, wooden pot, passing the cups with quiet smiles. Others close their eyes again, absorbing the fire's warmth. The Dalai Lama places a hand lightly on your shoulder. Connection begins here, he whispers, in shared warmth, shared silence, shared presence. You feel the truth in those words as the fire crackles softly. This moment, simple as it is, feels profound. It teaches you that understanding is not found in grand gestures or perfect words, but in the quiet willingness to sit beside another human being without demanding they be anything other than themselves. The fire glows brighter, and the warmth spreads through your chest like a living ember. The Dalai Lama looks into the flames, then back toward you. Now, he says gently, you are ready to feel the warmth that is shared when kindness is given freely. He turns his gaze toward the heart of the campfire, where the flames dance with ancient wisdom, and the next lesson begins to flicker into view. The flames rise and fall in slow, rhythmic waves, their golden light painting soft patterns across the faces gathered in the clearing. The crackling of the fire mingles with the subtle sounds of night, the distant call of an owl, the gentle rustling of leaves stirred by the breeze. You feel the warmth reaching toward you, not with force, but with a quiet generosity, as if the fire understands the weariness every traveler carries. The Dalai Lama sits close by, his hands resting calmly in his lap, the glow of the flames reflecting gently in his eyes. For a moment, no one speaks. The circle around the fire expands with silence that feels alive, a shared breath moving from one person to another without a single word. A monk across the flames lifts a small cup of tea to his lips, inhaling its steam with a soft smile. A young woman beside him closes her eyes, letting the warmth seep into her palms as she holds them near the glow. Everything feels unhurried, open, connected. The Dalai Lama leans toward the fire, watching how the flames respond to a passing breeze. Kindness, he says softly, is like this fire. It warms not only those who come close, but also those who simply see it from a distance. Its presence alone gives comfort. A spark leaps upward, curling like a tiny dancer before vanishing into the night. You follow its path and feel something similar rise within your chest, an awareness that kindness does not need to be loud or grand to be felt. It can be as simple as sitting beside someone in silence, offering warmth without expectation. A monk on the far side of the circle gently places a log into the fire. Instead of flaring sharply, the flame accepts it slowly, embracing the new piece of wood with a soft glow that grows stronger over time. The Dalai Lama nods toward the scene. When we offer kindness, we do not force its acceptance. We simply place it where it is needed and trust that it will be received in the right way at the right time. You feel the truth of that settle into your heart. Times when you've tried too hard to help, times when you felt unseen, times when you gave without knowing whether it mattered. Now, watching the fire, you understand. Kindness is not about outcome. It is about intention. A gentle offering placed into the world, free of demand. One of the villagers seated near the fire begins to hum, a low, soothing melody that blends effortlessly with the crackling flames. The sound vibrates softly across the clearing, wrapping around you like a warm shawl. Others join in, their voices weaving into harmonies that feel ancient and familiar, as though humanity has always sung in circles like this under open skies. The Dalai Lama closes his eyes briefly, listening. When hearts gather with kindness, he whispers, their voices naturally find harmony. Not identical, but harmonious, each one adding something unique to the whole. You look around the circle again. Though the people appear different in age, background, and path, the fire makes them all equal. Its light softens every line, every worry, every memory etched onto their faces. Here, by the warmth of shared presence, everyone is simply human, fragile, strong, and deserving of warmth. A young boy seated near the flames reaches out with a stick, poking gently at the embers. They glow brighter for a moment, sending tiny sparks drifting upward like fireflies. He watches them with wonder, his eyes shining. The Dalai Lama notices and smiles warmly. A spark of kindness can rise higher than you expect, he says. Even the smallest act can lift someone's spirit in ways you may never know. You feel the fire's warmth seep deeper into your body, as though it is melting the tightness around your heart. The flames move with a softness that mirrors the glow within your chest, a reminder that warmth grows naturally when you allow yourself to open to it. As the hum quiets and the night deepens, the fire's glow becomes softer, transforming into something more intimate. Above you, the sky unfurls its tapestry of stars, hundreds of tiny lights shimmering like embers, scattered across a vast velvet canvas. Their glow blends with the firelight, creating a bridge between earth and sky. The Dalai Lama looks upward, his face illuminated by both kinds of light. When kindness fills your heart, he says, your inner fire begins to shine beyond your own life. It becomes like these stars, offering guidance even in the darkest night. You gaze at the sky, feeling the peaceful hum of the fire beneath you and the quiet pulse of starlight above. The warmth within you grows steadier, as if responding to both earth and sky at once. The Dalai Lama rises slowly and gestures toward a narrow trail that leads away from the clearing, marked by soft starlight filtering through the trees. There is a place ahead, he says gently, where you will see how kindness, like fire, can travel without losing its warmth, how it moves from heart to heart like a flame passed from candle to candle. With one last look at the glowing fire and the peaceful faces gathered around it, you rise and follow him into the starlit path beyond, your heart glowing like a quiet ember, ready for whatever warmth awaits next. The path narrows as you leave the warm glow of the fire behind, and the night deepens into a canvas of velvet blue. The air grows cooler, but the warmth within you, kindled by shared presence and gentle understanding, continues to glow softly, guiding your steps. Above, the sky stretches wide and infinite, its darkness sprinkled with countless points of silver light. Each star pulses with a quiet brilliance, as though whispering ancient truths carried across the vastness of time. The Dalai Lama walks beside you, his gaze lifted toward the heavens. "Look," he says softly, "how the stars shine without asking for anything in return. Their light is a gift, constant and steady, even when clouds hide them from our eyes." His voice blends with the hush of the night, transforming the vast sky into something intimate, alive, and deeply comforting. You pause on a small rise in the path, letting the world above you expand into a shimmering sea. The stars seem closer here, as if bending gently toward the earth to offer their presence. Some sparkle faintly, while others shine brighter, almost like lanterns suspended in the sky. Each one holds its own quiet pulse, its own rhythm, its own soft breath of light. Compassion, the Dalai Lama continues, is very much like starlight. It reaches far beyond the boundaries of the self. Even the smallest spark can travel great distances, touching hearts we may never meet. The universe teaches us that nothing kind is ever lost. It becomes part of something larger. You breathe in slowly, feeling the truth of his words as your chest expands. The stars above do not compete with one another. They simply shine, each offering what they can. Their collective glow becomes a gentle tapestry of presence, much like how simple acts of kindness from many hearts weave together to create a world filled with warmth. A soft breeze rustles through the trees nearby, carrying with it the faintest melody, something between wind and whisper. When you listen closely, you can almost imagine the stars themselves speaking, sharing fragile, timeless wisdom shaped over millions of years. They whisper, the Dalai Lama says, as if sensing your thoughts, not in words, but in reminders that we belong to one another, that suffering is something we all understand, no matter where we come from. That compassion is our shared language, even when we struggle to express it. You tilt your head back again, letting the starlight wash over you. One star shines particularly bright, so bright it seems to float separately from the others. Its glow feels different, almost alive with warmth. You focus on it, sensing something special in its unwavering presence. The Dalai Lama follows your gaze. "Ah," he murmurs with a knowing smile. "Some stars call to us more strongly than others. Perhaps they reflect something your heart is ready to understand." As you stand there, the bright star begins to change. Its light pulses gently, then slowly expands, softening at the edges until it glows with a wider, more luminous halo. The brilliance intensifies just enough to illuminate the path before you, casting a silvery sheen across the ground. It is no longer just a star now. It has grown into something fuller, rounder, warmer. And then you see it. The star is becoming the moon. Its transformation is slow and graceful, like a flower opening in the night. The small point of light stretches, expands, and settles into a perfect pale disk glowing with calm radiance. The moon rises quietly above the mountains, its soft, silver light flooding the landscape with peace. Every blade of grass turns to silver. Every leaf glows as if holding a secret lantern of its own. The Dalai Lama watches with deep reverence. "Even the stars remind us," he says softly, "that compassion grows. A single light, small, distant, can become something bright enough to guide entire paths. You feel the moonlight settle gently across your skin, tender and cool. It carries none of the harshness of daylight, only the calm embrace of a presence that asks for nothing. Under its gentle glow, the entire world feels connected. Mountains, trees, river, path, traveler, all held under one quiet light. Universal compassion, the Dalai Lama says, is seeing all beings as reflections of one another, like the stars in the sky, each unique, each shining, yet all part of the same vast, beautiful tapestry. He places a gentle hand on your shoulder. When you allow compassion to grow within you, it transforms your understanding of the world. You begin to see not differences, but shared longing. Not separation, but unity. Not strangers, but fellow travelers. The moonlight brightens slightly, illuminating a new path ahead, one lined with smooth stones that shimmer like silver coins beneath the night sky. The Dalai Lama steps onto it and looks back at you with a warm smile. "Come," he says, "the moon will guide us now." Ahead is a place where you will learn how compassion not only shines, but moves, flowing from heart to heart like moonlight, touching every corner of the earth. You follow him into the glowing path, the stars whispering above, the moon lighting your steps, and compassion settling deeper into your heart with every breath. The moonlight gathers around you like a soft silver cloak as you follow the stone-lit path. Each step feels lighter beneath its glow, as though the moon itself is guiding your feet with a quiet, steady hand. The Dalai Lama walks ahead, his silhouette softened by the pale radiance, every fold of his robe illuminated with the serene glow that turns night into something tender and welcoming. The world around you has shifted into a dreamlike hush. No sharp sounds, no sudden movements, only the slow heartbeat of the earth beneath the shimmering sky. The path opens into a wide meadow, the grasses glistening with dew that reflects the moonlight like thousands of tiny mirrors. Each droplet holds a perfect orb of the moon within it, creating the illusion of countless moons resting gently upon the ground. As you walk through them, the dewdrops tremble, sending soft ripples of silver light across the meadow, as if the earth itself were breathing. The Dalai Lama pauses in the center of the field, his face lifted toward the glowing sky. "The moon," he says gently, "teaches us a different kind of light. Sunlight shows us the world clearly. Moonlight shows us how to move gently, how to trust what we feel, even when we cannot see everything ahead." His words flow through the quiet meadow like a warm current. You look up at the moon, full and luminous, suspended above the world with effortless grace. Its glow is softer than sunlight, yet somehow more intimate, as if its purpose is not to illuminate everything at once, but to reveal what needs to be seen in its own perfect time. "The moon does not rush," he continues. "It waxes and wanes in patient cycles. It reminds us that guidance does not always come in bright certainty. Sometimes it comes in soft intuition, in quiet knowing, in the gentle pull of something deeper." You take a slow breath, feeling the cool night air fill your lungs. Beneath the moon, every inhale feels fuller, as though the light itself is rising inside you. Each exhale seems to melt more tension from your body, leaving behind a peaceful calm. The Dalai Lama leads you farther into the meadow, where the grasses grow lower and the dew gathers more thickly. The ground glows softly beneath your steps, each footprint pressing into pools of moonlit water that ripple outwards like tiny silver tides. You pause to watch your reflection in one of the shallow puddles. The moon's glow overlaps with your face, blending your features with its light until the two seem inseparable. When we let the moon guide us, the Dalai Lama says, we learn to trust our inner reflections. We learn that clarity does not always mean brightness. Sometimes it means softness. Sometimes it means learning to listen to the quiet voice inside that whispers, "This is the way." His words resonate in your chest like a gentle pulse. You look up again at the moon and feel its pull, subtle, steady, ancient. A guidance that asks nothing of you except trust. The breeze shifts, carrying with it the faint scent of wildflowers blooming somewhere in the meadow. Their fragrance is delicate, almost shy, as though blooming only for those who walk slowly enough to notice. The Dalai Lama smiles at the scent. Even flowers bloom under the moon, he says. They open in darkness, trusting the gentle light to guide them. The breeze grows colder, brushing over your skin with strands of cool mist. Ahead, the edges of the meadow begin to blur into a soft haze. The moonlight scatters through the mist, creating pale beams that look like pathways rising into the air. The Dalai Lama steps toward the fog, his form glowing softly within its veil. Dawn approaches, he says, but before the sun returns, the moon will guide us once more through the fog that comes before new beginnings. The mist gathers at your feet first, rolling in gentle waves across the meadow. It wraps around your legs, cool and comforting, then begins to rise until it surrounds you in a soft, glowing cloud. The moon still shines above, but its light now diffuses through the mist, turning the world into a silver dreamscape. Shapes soften, edges blur. The meadow becomes a realm of shifting light and quiet possibility. The Dalai Lama's voice emerges from the haze, calm and steady. When life becomes unclear, he says, do not fear the fog. Walk gently. Trust the moonlight within you. Guidance is not lost. It is only changing form. You take another step, then another. Each one feels like a movement deeper into a place of quiet transformation. The fog curls around you, luminous and cool, while the moon above seems to follow you, its steady presence weaving through the mist. Ahead, the light begins to shift. The silver glow of the moon blends softly with the first faint threads of dawn, a delicate mingling of night and morning, of endings and beginnings. The Dalai Lama appears before you once more, his figure emerging slowly from the silver haze. Now, he says gently, let us walk into the dawn together and see how the first light of day teaches the heart to awaken with kindness. The silver haze gathers thickly around you, swirling in slow, graceful motions as though the night itself is exhaling. Each wisp of mist drifts across your skin with a cool, feather-light touch that quiets even the faintest tension. The world feels softer here, edges blurred, colors muted, shapes reduced to gentle outlines that invite your mind to rest rather than evaluate. The Dalai Lama walks ahead, his form shifting in and out of view, yet always present like a steady pulse within the fog. The mist curls around your thoughts just as gently, dimming the sharp corners of your worries until they feel distant, like memories left out in the fading night. You take a slow breath, and the cool air fills your lungs with a calming weightlessness. The Dalai Lama's voice drifts through the hazy air, warm and steady despite its softness. When the mind becomes clouded, he says, there is no need to chase clarity. Let the fog come, let it soften everything. In softness, the heart can finally breathe. The path beneath your feet shifts into something smoother, stone perhaps, or polished earth. You cannot see far ahead, but the uncertainty feels strangely comforting. The mist removes the need for precision. It replaces urgency with surrender. Every step becomes an act of trust rather than a leap into the unknown. As you continue, the Dalai Lama slows until he is beside you once more. His presence feels like a lantern hidden inside the fog, not visible but unmistakable. The mind, he continues gently, often clings to thoughts as if they are solid stones. But thoughts are mist. They gather, they drift, they dissolve. Pain comes when we believe they are heavier than they are. A cool wave of fog rolls past, washing over you with a soothing hush. Your thoughts respond instantly, loosening, softening, unraveling. What felt important a moment ago now feels lighter, as though it has been wrapped in clouds. Through the mist, you sense the Dalai Lama smiling. When your thoughts soften, he whispers, suffering loses its grip. The heart awakens to compassion for yourself, for others, for the world. The fog begins to shift again, not thinning but rising. It lifts slowly from the ground in graceful spirals, revealing glimpses of what lies beneath. The smooth curvature of a stone path, the faint outline of lanterns resting atop wooden posts, the dark silhouettes of tall trees standing like guardians around a sacred place. The mist continues to rise until the stones beneath your feet come fully into view, glistening with dew. Ahead, through the last drifting veil of fog, a shape emerges, a quiet temple built from pale stone. Its roof curves like a gentle wave, its pillars wrapped in vines of soft green. Lanterns glow faintly along its edges, their subdued light blending seamlessly with the mist that clings to the building like a blessing. The entire temple seems to float in the silver haze, as though suspended between sky and earth. As you approach, the fog pulls upward like curtains being drawn aside. The temple stands revealed in full beauty, simple, serene, timeless. Moss-covered steps lead to a wooden door, left slightly open, allowing a warm glow to spill out onto the path. The Dalai Lama places his hand gently upon the doorframe. This temple, he says softly, is where the mind learns to rest, where thoughts become gentle visitors instead of storm clouds. You step inside with him, and the air shifts warm. Candles line the walls, their flames dancing with the quiet grace of a soft heartbeat. Incense drifts through the room in thin white strands that mirror the mist outside. The floor is smooth stone, cool beneath your feet, and the walls curve inward in a way that makes the space feel like a cradle for the heart. At the center of the temple rests a small cushion. The Dalai Lama sits upon one and gestures for you to settle on another. As you lower yourself into the stillness, the world seems to exhale. The soft glow of candlelight wraps around you, and your breath deepens without effort. When your thoughts grow harsh, he says gently, come back to softness. Sit as you are. Breathe as you are. Let the mist return to your mind, not to obscure your truth, but to quiet the noise around it. You let your eyes close. The warmth of the candles meets the cool memory of the mist, and somewhere between the two, your thoughts begin to dissolve into spaciousness. The Dalai Lama's voice is a soft current guiding you deeper. In this softness, you do not lose yourself. You rediscover your true nature. Open, gentle, free. You sit in this silence for a long moment, the mist still drifting in your memory, the temple holding your breath in its quiet palms. Then the Dalai Lama rises slowly, his movement graceful in the dim light. Now that your thoughts have softened, he says, you will be ready to see the truth that waits in stillness, the wisdom that emerges only when the mind is quiet enough to receive it. He steps toward a smaller doorway at the back of the temple where a faint amber glow beckons, inviting you deeper into the sanctuary of awakening. The amber glow from the doorway stretches across the stone floor like a warm ribbon guiding your steps. As you follow it, the atmosphere shifts. The softness of the mist lingers only as a memory, replaced now by a quiet warmth that settles gently into your chest. The Dalai Lama steps through the doorway ahead of you, and when you cross into the next room, the sight takes your breath in the most tender way. The chamber opens wide into a sanctuary lined with countless serene statues carved from smooth stone. Each figure sits in a position of meditation, hands folded softly, shoulders relaxed, and expressions touched by the most gentle of smiles. Not wide grins, not fixed or rigid expressions, just soft, genuine, timeless smiles that seem to radiate warmth from the inside out. Their presence fills the room with a peace so palpable it seems to sink into your very bones. These, the Dalai Lama says quietly, are the smiles of compassion without condition. His voice is almost a whisper, respectful of the silence held so dearly here. Each smile represents kindness that asks nothing in return, kindness that exists simply because it is the nature of the heart. You step farther into the temple, taking in the statues' tranquil faces. Some are small, barely the size of your hand. Others are tall and luminous, their surfaces polished by the gentle touch of time. The soft candlelight flickers across them, making the smells appear to move, as though they breathe along with the stillness of the room. For a moment, it feels as if every statue is aware of you, not watching in judgment, but welcoming you with the same warmth you see in their carved expressions. The effect is disarming in the most comforting way. Every tension in your body continues to melt, replaced by a deepening sense of belonging. The Dalai Lama moves slowly between the statues, his hand trailing lightly along the air beside them, as if acknowledging each presence. People often misunderstand compassion, he says. They think it must be earned. But true compassion is like these smiles, offered freely, simply because it is in our nature to care. You find yourself standing before one particular figure, The small smile seems to reach into you, stirring something you didn't realize needed attention. Perhaps an old ache. Perhaps the longing to be seen with gentle eyes. Perhaps simply the desire to feel kindness without having to prove yourself worthy of it. As your gaze settles on the statue's peaceful face, the Dalai Lama steps beside you. When we learn to offer ourselves this kind of smile, he says softly, we begin to heal, not through force, but through gentle acceptance. The air in the chamber seems to warm around you, as though the smiles themselves radiate a quiet, steady heat. You feel your breath deepen naturally, and with each inhale, your chest loosens a little more. The Dalai Lama notices your breath and nods encouragingly. Human beings, he says, often forget their own goodness. These smiles remind us, even when we struggle, even when we falter, there is still something pure within us waiting to be recognized. As his words settle, a soft sound emerges from the far end of the chamber, a bell ringing with a tone so clear and gentle, it feels like it was made of light rather than metal. The note vibrates through the air and through your chest, spreading outward like a ripple on still water. The Dalai Lama turns toward the sound, his eyes bright with calm recognition. The bell calls us forward, he says. It invites us to continue the journey, carrying these quiet smiles with us. You glance once more at the statues, memorizing the peace etched into their expressions. Their smiles feel like blessings placed upon your heart, tiny embers of compassion you can carry with you wherever you go. The Dalai Lama starts toward the bell, its gentle resonance marking each step. As you follow, you feel a growing warmth inside you, subtle, steady, like dawn rising behind a mountain. You sense that something within you has shifted, softened, become more spacious. The quiet smiles of the statues have settled into your breath, your posture, the way your feet move across the stone floor. At the end of the chamber, the bell hangs from a wooden beam carved with delicate patterns of lotus petals. Its surface glows faintly, catching the light of the surrounding candles. The Dalai Lama rests his hand lightly upon it, and the bell hums again. An invitation, a promise, a gentle beckoning toward what comes next. He looks at you with eyes that carry the same warmth as the statues behind you. Come, he says. There is a garden beyond this temple where kindness unfolds in every leaf and every breeze. There, you will learn how to let your own compassion bloom softly into the world. With the echoes of the bell still resonating in your chest, you step forward beside him, ready to enter the garden where kindness blossoms without effort, where every breath carries the seed of awakening. The soft hum of the bell spreads through the temple chamber like a warm wave of sound, subtle yet deeply resonant. It lingers in the air, long after the metal stops vibrating, filling the space with a gentle pulse that feels almost like a heartbeat. You stand beside the Dalai Lama, listening as the echo dissolves slowly into silence, leaving behind a spacious calm that settles into your chest. The bell's tone seems to touch something ancient within you, something that wakes not with urgency, but with recognition. The Dalai Lama rests his hand on the wooden frame supporting the bell, his expression serene. This bell, he says softly, does not call you to a place. It calls you to yourself. His voice blends seamlessly with the fading echo, as though both are part of the same quiet wisdom. Many people believe that home must be found in the world, in a building, a person, a memory. But the truest home is carried inside. It is the stillness where your heart feels safe. Sometimes you breathe in deeply, and the echo seems to pulse once more, subtle as the faintest drumbeat beneath your ribs. The vibration feels familiar, like something you've always known but forgotten in the noise of everyday life. This gentle resonance, rising from silence and returning to it, brings your attention inward, to the rhythm of your breath, the warmth in your chest, the steady beat that has guided you through every moment of your life. The Dalai Lama walks toward a small doorway on the far side of the room, but he pauses and turns back to you. "Come," he says, "let us follow the sound, even now that it has faded. Its rhythm has become part of you." You step beside him and walk through the doorway into a narrow corridor lit by soft lanterns. Their light flickers gently, casting warm arcs across the walls that curve in smooth, flowing lines. The air here is slightly warmer than the temple chamber, carrying the faint scent of incense and polished wood. As you walk, you notice that the corridor itself seems to pulse subtly with the memory of the bell, your footsteps falling into a slow, natural rhythm that mirrors the quiet beat inside your chest. The corridor opens into another space, but this one is unlike the stillness of the statue chamber. It is a circular room with high open windows where the night air flows freely. Outside, the moon hangs low and glowing, casting pale light across the stone floor. In the center of the room, a second bell hangs, smaller, more delicate, its metal surface etched with intricate patterns of lotus flowers and waves. The Dalai Lama steps forward and touches the bell lightly, not enough to ring it, but enough to make it sway gently. The faint movement sends a subtle shimmer of sound into the air, so quiet you almost wonder if you heard it or simply imagined it. "Your heart," he says, "is like this bell. Even the smallest touch can send a vibration through your entire being. A single moment of kindness, a single breath of awareness, a single memory of peace. It all echoes inside you." You step closer and watch the bell sway, its gentle movement glowing in the moonlight. It reminds you of how fragile and strong the heart can be, how easily touched, yet how powerful its echoes become. The Dalai Lama sits near the window and gestures for you to sit beside him. You lower yourself to the floor, feeling the cool stone beneath you and the soft brush of night air on your skin. "For so long," he continues, "people search outside themselves for a sense of belonging. They look for approval, for achievement, for recognition. But the heart longs only for presence, for the quiet assurance that it is allowed to rest, to feel, to simply be." His gaze moves toward the bell. When you learn to listen to the rhythm within you, you discover that you have never been lost. You were only distracted. The room grows quieter still, and you become aware of your own heartbeat, steady, patient, echoing like a soft drum inside your chest. You place a hand over your heart, feeling the warmth beneath your palm, feeling the gentle pulse that has been with you every moment of your life. The Dalai Lama watches with a calm smile. "This," he says, "is the sound of home. A breeze drifts through the open windows, stirring the small bell again. This time, its chime is clearer, light, delicate, almost playful. The sound floats through the circular room like a ribbon of moonlight, weaving between the lanterns and brushing lightly against your skin. The Dalai Lama rises slowly, his robes flowing as he steps toward the opposite doorway, where the light begins to brighten just a little. The heart's home, he says gently, is the place where every part of you is welcome. The joy, the sorrow, the questions, the hopes. When you return to this place inside yourself, the world no longer feels so heavy. You walk with ease, knowing you carry your sanctuary wherever you go. The small bell chimes once more as you stand, its delicate echo blending with your heartbeat. The Dalai Lama smiles, his eyes warm and glowing in the moonlight. "Let us go," he says softly. "There is a garden beyond this room where we will explore how love grows when the heart is finally at home." With the bell's echo still resonating within you like a quiet pulse of peace, you step forward, ready to enter the garden where the heart learns to bloom. The doorway leads you into a moonlit garden, quiet and open, where the air feels softer than anywhere you've been so far. Lanterns hang from the branches of curved trees, their warm light swaying gently with the night breeze. Ahead, a small stone path winds between clusters of flowering bushes, each breathing out a delicate fragrance that mingles with the coolness of the air. The moment you step into the garden, something inside you loosens, as if your body instinctively recognizes this as a place meant for rest. The Dalai Lama walks slowly toward a stone platform at the center of the garden, shaped like a broad lotus blossom. Water flows around it in a circular pool, its surface shimmering with moonlight. The sound of the water is gentle, subtle, like the soft exhale of a sleeping world. He steps onto the platform and gestures for you to sit beside him. "Here," he says, "we listen to the rhythm that has carried us since the day we were born." You sit with him, the stone cool beneath you, the night calm around you. The garden feels alive, but not in the restless way of daylight. It breathes with you. The trees sway slowly. The flowers open and close in tiny pulses. Even the lantern flames flicker in patterns that seem to match the rise and fall of your chest. The Dalai Lama closes his eyes, and his breath becomes slow, steady, deep. Without being told, you find yourself mirroring him. Inhale. The air fills your lungs like warm silk. Exhale. The tension slips from your shoulders. Inhale. The night moves into you. Exhale. The worries drift out into the darkness. Each breath feels more natural, more spacious, more peaceful. "Breathing," he says quietly, still with his eyes closed, "is the first rhythm of the heart." Long before you spoke a word, long before you understood the world, your breath carried you through every moment. It is your constant companion, and it asks for nothing but your presence. You bring your awareness to your breath again, noticing how the cool air enters your nostrils and leaves warm against your lips. The sound is soft, almost imperceptible, but steady. It comforts you in a way you hadn't realized you needed. For the first time in a long while, you feel truly supported by something simple, something always available. The Dalai Lama continues, his voice a tranquil current flowing through the garden. When you breathe with awareness, your heart begins to remember its natural rhythm. It slows, it softens, it becomes peaceful, like waves brushing the sand at the edge of an ocean. He lifts his hand slightly, palm open, guiding you as if helping you feel the rhythm directly. You imagine the ocean, vast, calm, stretching into the night. With each inhale, a wave gathers gently. With each exhale, it rolls onto the shore, smoothing the sand, erasing its own footprints. Your breath becomes that ocean, so soft it's almost invisible, yet powerful enough to reshape the landscape within you. The circular pool surrounding the stone platform ripples lightly, mirroring the rhythm of your breath. You watch the ripples expand with each exhale, then settle with each inhale, until the water and your lungs seem to be moving together in a delicate dance. The Dalai Lama smiles softly. Peace is not found in the world around you, he says. It grows from the rhythm within you. You breathe again, slower this time, longer, more intentionally. The inhale lifts your chest like a rising tide, and the exhale lets it drift back like a gentle retreat, leaving the sand smooth and unmarked. With each cycle, your thoughts become quieter. Your heart feels lighter. The constant chatter of the mind, so loud, so persistent, fades into a soft murmur, like distant waves you no longer need to listen to. The Dalai Lama opens his eyes and looks into the pool. When the breath becomes peaceful, he says, the mind follows. And when the mind becomes peaceful, the heart opens wide enough to hold compassion for everything it touches. He invites you to place a hand on your chest. You feel the warmth beneath your palm, the subtle rise and fall. Your breath, your heart, your presence, all aligned in a single harmonious rhythm. The night seems to breathe with you, as though the entire garden has attuned itself to your inner calm. A breeze moves across the pool, carrying the scent of the flowers around you. The ripples move outward, each one gentle, unhurried. The garden becomes a living reflection of your breath. Soft waves, quiet stillness, natural peace. Let your breath be your guide, he says. Whenever the world feels heavy, return to this rhythm. It will bring you home. You inhale once more, and the air feels softer than before. You exhale, and your entire body responds with ease. The Dalai Lama rises slowly, his movements fluid and quiet, and gestures toward a small archway at the far end of the garden where warm light spills through. Now that your breath has become peaceful, he says, you are ready to enter a place where the heart learns to care for others with the same tenderness it now offers itself. With the calm rhythm of the waves still moving gently within you, you follow him toward the archway where compassion begins to flow outward. The archway opens into a landscape so vast and luminous that for a moment you forget to breathe. The night sky stretches endlessly above, the moon hanging low and heavy with light, casting a silver path across an ocean that seems to merge with the horizon. The water moves in slow, graceful waves, each one rising with quiet strength and falling with soft surrender, never hurried, never forced. The air carries the scent of salt and serenity, wrapping around you like a cool embrace. The Dalai Lama steps forward onto the sand, his robes fluttering gently in the ocean breeze. This, he says softly, is the place where compassion becomes boundless. You follow him, feeling the sand shift beneath your feet, cool, fine, and comforting. The rhythmic hush of the waves draws you closer, inviting you to listen not with your ears, but with your heart. As you approach the shoreline, a wave glides toward you and brushes against your toes with tender warmth, as though the ocean itself is greeting you. The Dalai Lama watches the water with a deep, serene understanding. The ocean, he explains, is a teacher of compassion. Its vastness holds every river, every storm, every drop of rain. It rejects nothing. A wave rises, gathering itself with ease, then flows forward again, stretching into a long shimmer of silver. Each wave feels like a breath of the earth. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Timeless and patient. You feel your own breathing fall naturally into its rhythm. The Dalai Lama walks along the edge of the water, leaving soft footprints that the waves gently erase. Compassion, he says, is the ability to hold the world in our hearts the way the ocean holds everything. Without judgment, without hesitation, without limits. You watch the waves pull back, leaving intricate trails of foam that curl like delicate patterns drawn by invisible hands. They linger for only a moment before dissolving into the sand, reminding you of how compassion flows freely when given without expectation. When you offer kindness, he continues, it may flow farther than you imagine. It may reach places you will never see and touch lives you will never know. The moonlight deepens, spreading across the ocean like molten silver. The surface reflects the sky in shimmering fragments, each one moving gently with the water's rhythm. You find yourself mesmerized, drawn into the quiet unity between sky and sea, as if the world has become a single, breathing being. The Dalai Lama approaches a smooth rock near the waterline and sits upon it, motioning for you to join him. Sit with the ocean, he says. Feel its compassion. You sit beside him, the rock cool beneath you. The waves stretch toward you again, as though offering their presence. You place your hand just above the sand, letting the water glide over your fingers. The sensation is soothing, a warm pulse that travels up your arm and into your heart. Do you feel it? He asks, gently. The ocean gives without needing to be thanked. It receives without asking why. It holds without clinging. A long wave rises, taller than the rest, lifting its crest toward the moon. For a moment, the water glows with shimmering brilliance before cascading gently toward the shore. The Dalai Lama watches it with reverence. This is the nature of endless compassion. It rises from deep within and flows outward, touching everything in its path. Even the smallest wave carries the whole ocean within it. You close your eyes and listen. The waves speak in a language you do not need to translate, a language of movement, rhythm, tenderness. With each exhale, your heart feels more spacious. With each inhale, something soft and luminous settles into your chest, expanding like a tide rising quietly within you. The Dalai Lama's voice is a gentle breeze beside you. When your compassion becomes like the ocean, it can embrace suffering without drowning in it. It can meet pain without closing. It can love without fear. Suddenly, the horizon begins to shift. A distant glow illuminates the edge of the sky. A subtle, warm light gathering strength behind the dark mountains far beyond the water. The Dalai Lama rises, and the ocean seems to rise with him, its waves growing bright under the changing sky. The ocean leads us, he says, toward a sanctuary where the heart completes its journey, a place where compassion becomes wisdom, and wisdom becomes peace. He gestures toward a distant silhouette, the outline of a mountain rising from the shoreline, like a guardian carved from the night. At its base, a narrow trail begins, illuminated by a faint golden glow, as though beckoning the two of you forward. The waves wash up once more, touching your feet with gentle encouragement, as if offering their blessing for the path ahead. You take one last look at the ocean, vast, luminous, deeply alive. Its waves continue to rise and fall in patient devotion, its silver surface glowing beneath the moon. Something inside you echoes its rhythm now, strong and steady. With the ocean's compassion flowing quietly within you, you step forward beside the Dalai Lama, ready to walk the shoreline path that leads toward the mountain sanctuary waiting in the dawn's first light. The shoreline path gradually rises, carrying you away from the soft breath of the ocean and toward the silhouette of the mountain that waits ahead. The Dalai Lama walks with quiet steadiness, his robes brushing lightly against the sand as the moon guides your ascent. With every step, the sound of the waves grows softer behind you, fading into a gentle murmur, as though the ocean is wishing you well on the path ahead. The slope turns from sand to earth, then to stone, and the air grows cooler, thinner, more delicate. As you climb, the mist begins to gather once more, curling around the edges of the trail like pale ribbons of breath rising from the mountain itself. You follow the Dalai Lama upward, the path winding in slow, deliberate curves. The trees thin gradually until the world opens before you in a sweeping expanse of night sky and moonlit stone. The air becomes astonishingly quiet. No rustling leaves, no breaking waves. Only the faint whisper of wind moving through higher places. The Dalai Lama pauses, turning toward you with a soft smile. "We are close," he says. Above the clouds lies a sanctuary where the heart can see clearly, free from the noise of the world below. You continue upward, and soon the mist grows dense, wrapping your legs and arms, cloaking the path in a luminous silver haze. But as you climb higher still, the haze begins to thin, becoming lighter and softer until finally, you break through the top of the clouds. A breathtaking world unfolds around you. The sky above is vast and filled with stars, hundreds, thousands, shimmering like tiny jewels, scattered across a boundless, velvet canvas. The moon hangs bright and full, its silvery glow spilling across the mountaintop. Beneath your feet stretches a sea of white clouds, their tops rippling gently like waves frozen in time. It feels as though you are standing between worlds, above the earth, below the heavens, held softly in the arms of sky. You draw in a breath that feels impossibly pure. The silence is so complete that it becomes its own kind of music, one your heart instantly recognizes. The Dalai Lama steps forward onto a broad, smooth plateau near the summit, where a small sanctuary rests, carved into the stone as though it had grown naturally from the mountain itself. Its walls are simple, open, and illuminated by lanterns that glow with golden light. This, he says, is a place to let your worries fall away. You approach the sanctuary with him, the cool stone warm beneath the lantern light. The open doorway reveals a single chamber containing nothing but a low wooden bench and a window that frames the stars perfectly. You sit beside the Dalai Lama, and together you gaze through the opening, where the night sky stretches beyond anything the mind can hold. For most of your life, he says softly, you have carried your worries like stones in your pockets. You believed they were necessary. You believed you had to hold them tightly. But here, above the clouds, where the world grows quiet, you can finally see how small those stones truly are. You watch as the clouds drift gently beneath the sanctuary, their soft forms glowing with moonlight. Each movement feels like a slow exhale from the earth itself. The Dalai Lama lifts his hand and gestures toward the sky. Up here, nothing clings. The wind moves freely. The stars shine without concern. Even the clouds release themselves again and again, changing shape with every breath. His words settle into you like warm embers. You feel the weight of your own worries. The ones you've carried for so long start to loosen. The silence, the stars, the height above the world, all invite you to surrender. Worry is the mind's attempt to control what cannot be controlled, he continues gently. But when the heart grows spacious, like the sky, you realize that you do not need to hold every fear. You do not need to solve every question. You can rest in knowing that the world continues even without your constant effort. A soft breeze flows through the sanctuary, stirring the edge of your clothing, brushing across your face like a kind, unseen hand. You take a slow breath, feeling your chest rise and fall with increasing ease. Something within you begins to open, a quiet spaciousness, wide and luminous as the sky itself. The Dalai Lama places his hand over his heart. Above the clouds, he says, the mind cannot cling, it can only rest. Here, you can feel what it is to be free. You close your eyes and breathe deeply. The mountain supports you. The sky surrounds you. The lanterns flicker softly, casting warm circles of light on the stone floor. Your worries, once sharp and insistent, begin to dissolve into the night air, drifting away like the clouds below. When you open your eyes again, the Dalai Lama is already rising, his silhouette framed by the glowing horizon. Far beyond the stars, the faintest hint of dawn begins to appear. A soft brush of gold, waiting patiently behind the darkness. Come, he says gently. The morning light is nearing. There is still more to learn as we descend into the valley, where peace becomes a way of life. With one last look at the sanctuary above the clouds, you stand and follow him down the path, ready for the next chapter of awakening waiting in the unfolding dawn. The descent from the mountaintop is gentle at first, as though the earth understands the need to carry you slowly from the sanctuary above the clouds back into the waiting world below. The Dalai Lama walks a few steps ahead, his robe brushing softly across the stone path. Behind you, the last glow of lantern light fades into the distance, leaving the vast sky above to guide your steps. The stars shimmer in quiet constellations, each one a delicate pinprick of light woven into the fabric of night. You feel their presence the way one feels a soft hand resting comfortingly on the shoulder. As you continue downward, the air grows warmer, the wind calmer. Yet the sky seems to draw even closer, the stars appearing larger, brighter, almost as though they followed you, lowering themselves with you on your path through the night. The Dalai Lama pauses and tilts his face upward. Each star, he says softly, is a blessing that requires no words. It shines simply because that is its nature. In its quiet presence, it offers comfort without ever needing to be asked. You lift your gaze, and the stars seem to respond. The vast expanse above you feels more intimate somehow, as if countless luminous beings are accompanying your descent, watching gently from their positions in the cosmic tapestry. They offer no instructions, no judgments, only their silent glow, soft and steady, unbroken through the ages. Their constancy places a warm stillness in your heart, like a whispered reassurance that you are held by something greater than you can understand. The Dalai Lama steps aside from the path for a moment, guiding you to a ridge where the sky opens even wider. From this vantage point, the stars blanket the heavens, stretching from horizon to horizon in a shimmering veil of silver dust. Some flicker faintly, while others burn like tiny flames, steady as the breath within your chest. Blessings, he murmurs, do not need to be given with ceremony. They can be as simple as presence, as quiet as a twinkling star. To receive them, you need only be here. You stand beside him in reverent silence. The stars glow with a tenderness that settles deep within you, softening your thoughts, loosening your worries, calming the depths of your mind. They seem to illuminate not the world around you, but the space within, lighting places that once felt dim or forgotten. You feel small beneath the infinite sky, yet entirely connected to everything, as if each star is touching a thread within your heart and inviting it to shine with its own gentle light. The Dalai Lama begins walking again, and the path narrows as you move farther from the ridge. The stars remain bright overhead, their glow falling across the trail like a scattering of blessings placed precisely where you step. Every patch of earth touched by their light feels sacred, quiet, intentional, filled with calm presence. The Dalai Lama glances back at you with a warm smile. The world offers blessings every moment, he says. A star's light, a kind word, the stillness of breath. When the heart is open, it receives them all. The wind softens into a whisper, brushing lightly across your cheeks. Ahead, the path descends into a meadow where the grasses sway gently in the night air. The stars seem to shine even brighter here, their light pooling onto the ground in ripples of silver. It feels as though the sky is slowly lowering itself, drawing closer with each step. You inhale deeply, and the night air fills your lungs with a serenity that seems woven from starlight itself. The Dalai Lama stops in the center of the meadow. He raises his hand slowly, as though greeting each star one by one, acknowledging their quiet blessing. The greatest blessings, he says, arrive without noise. They do not shout. They do not demand attention. They simply exist, waiting for the heart to recognize their presence. You close your eyes, feeling the cool night wrap around you. The stars, though unseen for the moment, continue to pulse in your awareness. A silent rhythm of light and peace. Your heart feels buoyant, uplifted, as if held by countless gentle hands. The blessings of the stars drift downward, softening something deep inside you, dissolving tension you didn't realize you still carried. When you open your eyes again, the stars shimmer with a new softness. Their edges blur ever so slightly, their light diffusing gently into the sky. One by one, they seem to exhale, their glow melting into the velvety darkness. The vast tapestry of light slowly gives way, not disappearing, but softening, dimming as though tucking itself into sleep. Above the horizon, the faintest hint of a new hue appears, a deep indigo brightening slowly toward blue. The Dalai Lama steps closer, the softening starlight reflecting in his calm eyes. "The stars rest," he says, "their blessings remain." The sky darkens into a smoother canvas, the stars fading into a deep, peaceful silence. You feel the blessings they offered settle gently within you, lingering like warmth after a long embrace. The Dalai Lama turns toward a subtle glow rising in the east, dawn preparing its first quiet breath. "Come," he says tenderly. "The night has given its blessings. Now, the morning light will teach us how to carry them forward." The eastern sky brightens by a breath, just enough for the stars to retreat into their silent watch, leaving behind a sky that hums with the soft promise of dawn. As the Dalai Lama guides you farther down the slope, the path widens into an open expanse that seems to glow from within. It is not sunlight, for the sun has not yet risen, nor is it moonlight, for the moon now hangs low, dim and distant. Instead, the field before you carries its own quiet radiance, a gentle, warm illumination that feels like the memory of light rather than light itself. The grass shimmers with that faint glow, each blade appearing to hold a tiny ember left behind by the stars. A soft mist lingers along the ground, swirling in slow waves as though breathing with the earth. The Dalai Lama steps into the field without hesitation, and the glow gathers gently around his robes, casting his silhouette into a haloed outline. "This is the field of quiet light," he says softly, his voice carrying the same hush as the air around you. "A place where the heart releases its need to be strong, and instead learns the art of gentle surrender." You follow him into the field, and the moment your foot touches the glowing grass, a profound calm settles into your body. It begins at your ankles, a subtle warmth, almost like stepping into sun-warmed sand, and spreads upward with each breath you take. The field seems to welcome you, recognizing the tiredness you've carried, the thoughts you've tried to quiet, the emotions you've held too tightly. Here, none of it is judged. None of it is resisted. The field simply absorbs the weight of it with tenderness. The Dalai Lama motions for you to sit. The grass bends beneath you like a cushion, soft and warm. When you rest your hands on the ground, the glow gathers around your fingertips, pulsing gently like a heartbeat syncing with your own. Light does not always need to be bright. he says. Sometimes it simply needs to be present, soft enough to soothe, warm enough to hold, steady enough to remind you that peace is still possible. You lower yourself fully into the field, letting your back sink into the glowing grass. The mist shifts above you in delicate curls, forming shapes that dissolve as quickly as they appear. Spirals, waves, gentle rising columns that shimmer in and out of form. The sky above is a deep indigo, neither night nor morning, suspended in that rare moment of stillness between worlds. As you lie there, the field's warmth begins to wrap around your chest, easing the last remnants of tension. Your shoulders soften, your jaw loosens, your breath flows without effort, smooth and unbroken. Each exhale sinks deeper into the earth, like a root reaching into soft soil. Each inhale rises lightly through your body, like mist lifting toward an unseen sun. The Dalai Lama lies beside you, his eyes half closed, his presence as calm as the field itself. When you allow yourself to rest, he murmurs, you return to the truth that has always been within you. You remember that you do not need to carry every burden alone. You remember that surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. You let those words settle, their warmth mingling with the glow beneath your body. The field hums softly, not with sound, but with a feeling, an undercurrent of peace, steady and ancient, as though countless travelers have rested here before you. The earth feels alive, not in a restless or demanding way, but in a supportive, nurturing way, like gentle hands holding your entire body with infinite care. The mist above you thins slowly, revealing more of the deepening blue sky. A pale golden glow begins to rise on the horizon, still faint, still cautious, like the first shy steps of morning. The quiet light of the field dims slightly, not fading, but becoming warmer, deeper, more grounded. The Dalai Lama opens his eyes fully now, turning to you with a look of peaceful understanding. The light changes, he says, because you are ready to rise from the softness. Rest prepares the heart, and a heart that has rested can see clearly when dawn breaks. You sit up slowly, the glow beneath you lingering on your skin like a final blessing. The mist gathers itself into gentle swirls that drift toward the horizon, as though carrying your worries away with them. The Dalai Lama stands, offering you a hand. When you rise, the field's light grows dimmer still, not disappearing, but settling into a warm memory within your chest. The horizon brightens further, the first hints of morning painting the sky in pale gold and rose. The Dalai Lama looks toward the light with a serene smile. Come, he says, the field has given its peace. Now, the dawn will give its clarity. With one last glance at the glowing grass resting quietly behind you, you walk with him toward the unfolding day, ready for the next step in the journey toward kindness and awakening. The dawn deepens as you walk beyond the glowing field, the horizon steadily blooming with warm hues of peach and gold. The air feels different now, not heavy like night, not quiet like the pre-dawn calm, but full of gentle possibility. The Dalai Lama leads you onto a smooth path lined with young trees, their leaves trembling softly in the early light. Each leaf seems to hold a drop of the rising sun, shimmering like liquid fire just beginning to awaken. With every step, the world brightens a little more, revealing colors that were hidden in the night. He slows his pace and glances at you with a tender understanding, as if sensing the subtle weight still carried in your chest. To walk in the light of morning, he says softly, we must release what shadows cling to us. Letting go is not an escape. It is an opening. Ahead is a small clearing where the sunlight spills through the trees in long, amber beams. The ground is covered in soft moss, damp and fragrant, and a gentle breeze stirs the leaves overhead. The Dalai Lama steps into the clearing and settles onto a stone warmed by the first breath of morning. He invites you to sit beside him, and the welcoming softness of the moss rises to meet you, cradling your body with surprising tenderness. For a moment, neither of you speak. The forest breathes around you, birds beginning their morning songs, branches swaying with the quiet rhythm of the wind, the earth shifting softly beneath its blanket of moss. You inhale the cool air, and though it fills your lungs, something in your chest still feels tight, as though your breath cannot quite reach the deepest part of you. The Dalai Lama lets his gaze rest on the rising sun. Letting go, he says, is not forgetting. It is not pushing away. It is allowing. He turns to you gently. You cannot release what you refuse to see. You cannot soften what you hold in secret fists. You lower your eyes, feeling the truth in his words. Many things you've carried, old fears, old disappointments, memories you folded carefully and hid away, have remained tucked in the deepest corners of your heart. Not out of stubbornness, but out of instinctive protection. The Dalai Lama seems to sense this without effort. He places one hand gently on the moss beside him. Feel the earth, he says. It carries every fallen leaf, every broken branch, every forgotten root, yet it does not hold them with fear. It allows them to rest, to decay, to transform. This is letting go, the kind that comes with trust, not force. You touch the moss, your fingers sinking into its softness. It feels alive, receptive, unburdened. Your breath begins to deepen without effort, expanding into places previously constricted. But still, something inside resists fully loosening. The Dalai Lama notices the hesitation and nods with compassion. Fear, he murmurs, is the last guardian of the heart. It asks, if I let go, what will hold me? But the truth is this: nothing needs to hold you. Once you release, you begin to float. He lifts his hand and opens his palm. Bring to mind something you've struggled to release. Not to push it away, but to simply see it. Hold it gently in your awareness. You close your eyes and allow one memory, one feeling, one worry to rise. It appears not as harshly as you expected, but softly, shaped like something that has been waiting to be acknowledged. Your chest tightens briefly, then softens around the edges. Now, the Dalai Lama whispers, breathe in. You inhale slowly, and with the exhale, allow it to loosen. Not disappear, just loosen. You exhale, and the tension unwinds a little more. The sunlight warms your face. Another breath comes, and with it, another subtle release, like tiny knots untying themselves inside your chest. Little by little, the tightness dissolves, replaced by a gentle spaciousness. He smiles warmly. Letting go without fear means trusting that what remains is enough, that you are enough. A breeze stirs the clearing, lifting tiny seeds from the moss and carrying them into the air. They rise, swirl, and float away, weightless on the wind. It feels like watching your burdens drift with them. Soft, natural, inevitable. The Dalai Lama stands, his eyes glowing with the warmth of morning. Now that your heart has begun to open, he says, we can journey to a place where your inner clarity will shine even brighter. The sunlight stretches farther across the clearing, illuminating a narrow trail lined with gentle golden light. You rise with him, your chest lighter than before, the last traces of tension melting into the warmth around you. With a heart ready to breathe freely, you follow him toward the next path, where clarity waits like a quiet pool reflecting the fullness of morning. The trail narrows as you continue with the Dalai Lama, winding through trees whose leaves catch the early sunlight like tiny pieces of gold. The air is warm now, thick with the scent of blooming flowers and damp earth. Each step feels softer, quieter, as though the entire world is beginning to settle into a deeper calm. Ahead, the trees part to reveal a serene clearing centered around a still pond, its surface smooth as polished glass. Water lilies float across it in gentle clusters, their petals resting half-closed, as if caught between waking and dreaming. The Dalai Lama approaches the edge of the pond and kneels, motioning for you to join him. This place, he says softly, is where the heart learns to rest again. His voice blends with the distant hum of morning insects and the whisper of leaves rustling under the rising sun. You kneel beside him, and the water reflects both of you in its mirror-like surface. Two figures, softened by light, surrounded by nature's quiet embrace. In the center of the pond floats a single lotus, larger than the others, its petals folding inward with the slow, graceful motion of a creature preparing for sleep. The flower glows faintly in the dawn, its colors muted, peaceful. The heart, the Dalai Lama continues, is much like this lotus. It cannot remain open all the time. It must learn when to bloom and when to rest, when to receive the world and when to gently close to protect its own softness. You watch as the lotus drifts slowly across the water, moved by currents so subtle you cannot see their source. Its petals are almost fully closed now, forming a cup of delicate protection. You feel something within yourself respond, a familiar instinct, the feeling of retreat when the world becomes too loud or too heavy. The Dalai Lama notices your gaze lingering on the flower and smiles with quiet understanding. Emotional safety, he says, is not isolation. It is the heart's way of saying, "Let me rest so I can bloom again." He lifts a small pebble and gently tosses it into the pond. Ripples spread outward, touching the lotus lightly before fading into stillness once more. Many people fear closing, he continues. They fear stepping back, thinking it means weakness or rejection. But even the lotus closes every night. It does so not from fear, but from wisdom. You inhale deeply, feeling the morning air settle into your lungs with smooth, steady warmth. The lotus continues drifting, its sleeping form a quiet reminder of how natural it is to protect one's tenderness. You think of the times you concealed your feelings, unsure if the world could hold them. You remember the moments you kept silent to protect your own heart, not from selfishness, but from the simple desire to feel safe. The Dalai Lama watches your expression soften, as though he can see these memories moving through you like ripples on the water. When the heart feels safe, he says, it opens easily. Its petals unfurl with trust and warmth. But when the world becomes too sharp, the heart closes, not out of fear, but out of love for itself. He places his hand gently over his own chest. This is the wisdom of the sleeping lotus. To rest, to restore, to gather strength in stillness. A bird glides across the sky above the pond, sending its reflection skimming across the water like a brushstroke of light. The lotus trembles slightly from the soft disturbance, then settles again. The Dalai Lama dips his fingers into the water, creating new ripples that shimmer around the flower. Your heart, he says, has done this many times without you noticing. It knows when to close. It knows when to protect you. But now, it must learn to close gently, not with hardness, not with walls, but with softness, like petals folding in on themselves. You feel your shoulders loosen, your breath deepen, as though something inside you is finally being acknowledged rather than resisted. The pond's stillness mirrors your own, inviting you to feel the quiet tranquility blooming within. The Dalai Lama rises slowly and steps to a stone bench nearby, gesturing for you to sit beside him. When the heart rests, he says, it becomes more spacious, more patient, more capable of offering kindness without fear. He turns his gaze toward the pond, where the lotus now rests completely closed, floating with perfect ease. But rest is only the beginning. Once the heart has slept, once it feels safe in its own softness, it can awaken again, with petals that reach toward the light. A warm breeze ripples across the water, carrying a faint scent of lilies and fresh sunlight. The lotus trembles again, as though sensing the day unfolding around it, though it remains peacefully closed. The Dalai Lama stands, his robes catching the breeze like gentle wings. The heart that sleeps must also learn to wake, he says. There is a place ahead where awakening comes naturally, where the inner light grows bright again. He begins walking along the edge of the pond, following a path lined with soft grass and newly opened blossoms. You rise and follow him, taking one last look at the sleeping lotus. Its stillness stays with you, settling into your chest like a quiet promise. That rest is sacred, that retreat is wisdom, and that awakening is coming. With the pond behind you and the morning brightening with each step, you walk toward the next part of the journey, where the heart begins its gentle unfolding. The path ahead narrows into a soft, glowing trail, lined with pale blossoms, their petals opening just enough to release the faintest fragrance into the warming air. The Dalai Lama walks beside you without hurry, his steps steady, his presence quiet, as dawn stretches its golden fingers across the sky. The light grows warmer with each breath, brushing gently across your face, easing the last remnants of strain from behind your eyes. The world feels softer now, less solid, more like a dream rising slowly to meet you. The Dalai Lama's robe sways lightly as he leads you toward a peaceful grove where the morning and night seem to meet in perfect balance. At the center of the grove lies a wide circle of soft earth covered in white petals, as though the sleeping lotus from the pond has shed its dreams here. Sunlight filters through the branches above, casting warm, dappled shadows that sway with the breeze. The Dalai Lama steps into the circle and gestures for you to join him. "This place," he says gently, "is where kindness becomes rest, where compassion becomes peace, where the heart, having traveled far, finds its home in stillness." You sit among the petals, the ground beneath you, warm and comforting. The Dalai Lama settles a short distance away, his posture relaxed, his eyes soft with the serenity of someone who has walked this path many times before. The air grows quiet around you, the kind of quiet that invites your body to let go, invites your mind to soften, invites your breath to slow until it becomes a gentle whisper threaded with tranquility. You have traveled through mountains, oceans, moonlit fields, and places of deep inner stillness, he says, his voice a gentle murmur that moves like wind through silk. Each step has taught your heart something true: awareness, compassion, presence, gratitude, release, rest. His smile warms the air around you. Now, the journey brings you to the final gift: peaceful surrender. The wind shifts softly and the petals rustle with a sound like distant rainfall. You close your eyes, letting the warmth of the grove soothe your whole body. Your breathing deepens naturally, each inhale gathering a soft glow, each exhale radiating ease. The Dalai Lama's voice becomes quieter, softer, as if he is speaking directly to your heart rather than to your ears. Kindness, he says, is not only something you give when you are awake. It is something that surrounds you even when you sleep. The world continues to breathe kindness into you while you rest. Every star, every breeze, every quiet corner of nature holds a place for your peace. Your muscles begin to melt into the earth, the tension leaving your shoulders, your arms, your legs. The sounds of the grove grow distant, wrapped in a velvety softness that feels like floating. You sense your heartbeat slowing, settling into a quiet cadence that matches the gentle sway of the petals around you. When you drift into sleep, the Dalai Lama continues, you do not leave your journey behind. You carry it within you. The lessons of compassion and tenderness settle deeper than thought. They sink into the roots of the heart, where transformation begins. As you sleep, kindness continues to blossom inside you. The grove grows warmer still, the sunlight turning softer, more golden, as though wrapping you in a blanket of pure comfort. Your thoughts become feather light, drifting like petals carried by a breeze. The Dalai Lama's voice moves with them, a steady, soothing presence that guides you deeper into relaxation. Let go now, he murmurs. Let the body soften. Let the breath ease. Let your heart rest in gentleness. You have nothing to hold, nothing to solve, nothing to protect in this moment. This is your time to be completely embraced by peace. Your eyelids grow heavier. Your breath slows further. The boundary between waking and dreaming becomes thin, like silk stretched across sunlight. The Dalai Lama's voice lowers to a tender hum, steady and warm. As you drift into sleep, the kindness within you expands. It fills your dreams. It renews your spirit. It teaches you, even in silence, how deeply you are connected to every living being. And when you wake, you will rise with a softer heart, a clearer mind, and a gentler presence. The petals around you shift, creating a soft nest. The ground beneath you feels like a warm cradle. The breeze becomes lullaby soft. Everything invites you into rest. You are safe, he whispers. You are held. You are loved. Let the night linger within you, even as morning arrives. Let your heart sleep like the lotus, protected, peaceful, ready to bloom when you wake. Your breathing slows into a calm rhythm, steady, quiet, effortless. The edges of the grove blur as your awareness drifts. The warmth, the light, the petals, the Dalai Lama's final blessing, all dissolve into a gentle darkness that feels like returning home. Rest now, he says, his voice fading like a lantern dimming at dawn. Drift into kindness, drift into peace, drift into sleep. And with that, the journey dissolves into the quiet embrace of dreams. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.